Hello. Welcome to the Fanfic Majesty. If you want more content, you can follow me on Patreon. I will be uploading more content on there that will be exclusive. The link is in the description. Please support me. 2SW. Percent. 026. Garp's changed mind. A man with something beyond what rocks doesn't have. Open black lens bracket 1/5 asks for flower evaluation. Votes close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... At this time. Garp and Bai Ye here. Boom, boom, boom. The battle between the two has already become the center of this summit war. The Marine and Whitebeard Pirates led by Sengoku looked at the center of the battle and hit it casually, and the aftermath of the collision had almost overwhelming power to crush everything. No one is not frightened and tremored. This terrifying power. If the battle of Sengoku and Whitebeard is like the flame of the old days that ignites the world. So at this time, the terrible battle in Summit War is transmitted through the sound and shadow phone bug, which is shaking the whole world. The ice layer collapses, spreads, sinks into the sea, and sets off huge waves. Every collision can cause such a terrifying force. Black and red lightning faintly twisted the air. The footholds under the two people's feet were also rapidly disappearing. Because with enough space to display, the terrifying power erupted by both Garp and Bai Ye is no longer bearable by the splintered Summit War. Boom. Now this place has almost returned to its original state. Whether you finally decide to use another devil fruit ability or not, it's already too late. Get ready to die here. Garp's voice fell, and the remaining power of Moonwalk was used under his feet to make the sea, boom. Dent it with a bang. Advertisement. Afterwards, Garp appeared in front of Bai Ye, and slammed his iron fist at Bai Ye. Bai Ye's unfaltering fist directly collided with Garp. The next moment, boom. Sound. The entire collision area erupted with a terrifying air pressure that almost caused a tsunami to set off in all directions. Are you going to crush the ice and exploit the demon fruit power weakness? Not a bad idea. But, when you're fighting with all your strength, you don't need too many words. If you think it's useful, give it a try as much as you can. Bai Ye landed on a piece of ice with less than 2 meters left, which looked like a small boat that would be overturned by the waves at any time. He saw Garp flashing in front of him. Bai Ye grabbed Garp's fist, and threw Garp directly. At the same time, Bai Ye's 5 fingers showed a hook shape, aiming at the direction where Garp was thrown. The whole arm was thrown out suddenly. The roar of the Flame Dragon King. Almost at the next moment, the entire sea suddenly exploded like a rising fire tsunami under the golden flames. Block the entire sea. Facing the flames, Garp's face changed. This time he didn't choose to resist. From the constant fighting, Garp discovered that Bai Ye's golden flame is different from ordinary flames. Ordinary flames can't hurt the body wrapped in armed colors at all. With Garp's armed colors, he is naturally extremely confident. However, the golden flame burning on Bai Ye's body can. To Garp, it is not a kind of flame that is difficult to handle like Tarsus maggots. It is a kind of flame that does not preach to any life at all, just like a domineering flame that simply wants to destroy everything. Even with the fist wrapped in armed color, Garp could still feel the terrifying temperature from the golden flame. This move is absolutely irresistible. Intuition told Garp so. Garp chose to dodge. Then, a tsunami of golden flames soared above the sea, making Garp more convinced of this. But Garp is not a person who likes to suffer. Avoiding this terrible flame, Garp immediately cast Moonwalk, and bombarded Bai Ye with a stronger force. From the beginning of constant fighting, Garp's original idea has gradually changed. Originally, he thought that as long as Whitebeard died, the Summit War would come to an end, but after experiencing the strength of the man he was fighting at this time, Garp changed his mind. Advertisement. He wants to be here, and before this man has any ambitions for the world, he will end up here. Not weaker than his terrifying physique. World-shaking dual devil fruit abilities. Coupled with the current strength comparable to Whitebeard's youth. If this Summit War ends, the man he fought with is still alive and returns to New World. Absolutely. Enough to shake the entire new era. Even, all the planning of the entire Summit War will attract the attention of the world, witnessing the birth of a new Emperor of the Sea, the Sea. This is the judgment in Garp's own mind. The object of judgment is not Whitebeard, nor is it Roger of One Piece. But that year, Rocks. This man has the potential to become the second Rocks. No, it should be enough to surpass Rocks. Even the Rocks back then, I am afraid that in front of the strongest monsters in this new era, they are much inferior at the same age. What's even more frightening is that this man has everything that Rocks doesn't have. That's what Rocks will never be king of the world without. Boom, boom, boom. The battle that shook the world is here. Bai Ye didn't know at this time that with the fight, Garp had already identified him as surpassing the current 4 emperors at sea, and even comparing him with the Rocks. Of course, even if Bai Ye knew what Garp was thinking. Probably didn't bother to pay attention to it, although he was not a person who liked to fight. However, this does not mean that Bai Ye does not have his own principles. Advertisement. At this moment, what Bai Ye wants to do. Just beat Garp. I probably already know what level a single dragon slaying magic is equivalent to in this world. Not enough for me to beat Garp, but alas, I have more than one dragon slaying spell. Bai Ye and Garp collided with each other with one fist, and then separated with an explosive sound wave. Bai Ye slowly analyzed the situation in his mind. Although the Fire Dragon Slayer magic has overwhelming destructive power, and the Dragon Slayer magic brings a physique comparable to that of a real dragon, but this power cannot bring a speed gain to Bai Ye. In his fight with Garp, whether it is strength, physique, or fist power, he will not be weaker than Garp, but in terms of speed, Garp is definitely better. This is Garp's advantage as a pure physique powerhouse. However, although Garp has the official certification of pirates, the only strong man in the old era has the power close to the youth, and it is extremely terrifying to fight with a human body to this extent. However, from the beginning to the end, Bai Ye used the same dragon-slaying magic. Since you have the advantage in terms of speed, I will increase the speed. Bai Ye murmured, now that he has roughly understood his true strength after this battle with Garp. Bai Ye didn't intend to continue to delay with Garp. He thought about it here. Zizi. Bai Ye, who was maintaining the state of Yanlong King, suddenly started to emit electric arcs continuously. Thunder Dragon Slayer magic. Close black lens bracket. At this moment, even Garp, who had already raised his fist, was stunned because of the impossible that appeared in his pupils. Aren't the two devil fruit abilities possessed by this man in front of him poisonous and flame? Then the thunder and lightning that appeared at this time. Hiss. 027. Devil 2/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Rumbling. Golden lightning began to emerge from the body. The moment this force appeared, the sky of Summit War began to give people an illusion of change, and the split clouds in the sky gradually changed from white to black. And there are thunderbolts descending from the sky. The whole sea. Because of the soaring flames, tsunami and thunder, it was like a blessing for the birth of monsters in the new era. Naval Headquarters, Sabayati Archipelago, East Blue, North Blue, South Blue, West Blue, New World. All over the world, everyone who saw this scene fell into a daze for tens of seconds, and then, unspeakable horror appeared in their pupils. Thunder, lightning, What the hell is going on? Special abilities. Or could it be that the man possesses? Hiss. Damn it, how can such a guy exist? Naval Headquarters, Sengoku lost his composure as a marshal after he saw a series of rumbling buckets of thunder appearing. No wonder Sengoku is like this. From the start of this Summit War to the moment when this monster joins the Summit War, even if the opponent shakes the world, Sengoku can calmly deploy it according to the plan. But at this moment, Sengoku already had some doubts. What kind of monster did this Summit War bring out? Humanity? Or demons? How could such a guy appear in the world? Moore was born in this era. Google. As that guy, really human? Advertisement. On the broken naval headquarters land, Moria squatted on the ground, her legs trembling uncontrollably. Moria's confidence was completely shattered once, and that was when she was defeated by Kaido. But at this moment, Moria felt that even if he had the self-confidence he had back then, his self-confidence was not shattered just from the perspective of observation. But the demon in the distance was completely smashed. There is no birth of any courage to dare to challenge that demon. At this time, it's not just Shichibukai, Marine, and pirates. Even Whitebeard can't help but drop his jaw. Originally, he thought that no matter what this friend did, he would not be surprised, but now. The new era has already started. The entire naval headquarters. This moment fell into silence. This is true regardless of Shichibukai, Marine, pirates, Sengoku, Whitebeard, etc. But at this moment, a sudden sharp voice sounded. Marine Admiral, give me a shot. I must make him my slave. This rare guy absolutely must belong to me. The sound of frantic screaming is relatively small compared to Summit War. However, when everyone is silent, it is completely different. Almost the entire Summit War heard it. Next moment. Countless people turned pale. Among them, Empress Hancock heard the word slave, a trace of fear appeared in the depths of her pupils, and then, she looked at the man subconsciously. Looking around, Hancock's pupils suddenly dilated when she saw the situation in the distance. I saw that the power of thunder and lightning gathered in the hands of that man. This is an unpretentious, golden lightning condensed spear appearing in his hand. Then, aiming at the direction of the sound. Advertisement. Kizaru's face turned green almost immediately. He is really begging you not to make trouble here. The celestial dragons are really weird, no matter who they face, they are unscrupulous, and they don't even take the four emperors seriously. But that's only in the Holy Land, no one can threaten the lives of celestial dragons, but now in front of that man. From the actions of that demonic man, do people really care about the lives of celestial dragons? Kizaru thought it was impossible with his toes. It's okay, just using this power, someone took the initiative to die. Bai Ye saw Garp's face darken, and took the initiative to block in front of him. Bai Ye shook his head this time. Garp, if you think you can stop it now, you might as well give it a try. After the words fell, a bucket-thick thunderbolt appeared in the sky. Boom. Hacking at Garp. Garp's pupils widened, and armament hockey immediately defended. Thereafter, Garp saw a scene of horror appearing in his pupils. The moment armament hockey emerged to resist the lightning, a golden light suddenly passed through him. After that, boom. Quick. Too fast. The entire blue sea surface exploded almost instantly. This is the golden thunder spear dividing the sea. Set off countless tsunamis, and then the golden stormpike rushed to where the celestial dragons were. The faces of the several celestial dragons guards above changed drastically, and the celestial dragons were also stupid. In this world, are there really untouchables who dare to attack celestial dragons? As a descendant of the creator, shouldn't the whole world serve celestial dragons? Celestial dragonsent, but Kizaru's heart is half cold. Damn, that monster really heard it. Advertisement. It's so deadly. Next time. Next time. Wrong. If there is a next time, Kizaru will definitely let Akainu or Aokiji be responsible for protecting these dead things again. Facing the thunder spear that suddenly tore the sea apart, Kizaru immediately made a full-strength attack, but Kizaru immediately discovered a fact that changed his face. Quick. It is too fast. No reaction time at all. Even if the sea was torn apart, from a distance, a golden light flashed across the surface of the sea, and then the sea suddenly exploded and split apart. It is no longer a matter of resisting or not resisting. If Celestial Dragons is a powerful Marine Rear Admiral, Kizaru is confident that he can save the opponent's life. However, at the moment of contact with Thunder Spear exploded. I saw that the entire location of Kizaru, all within a few hundred meters in diameter, was swept by terrifying lightning. Accompanied by the screams of pain, it suddenly turned into hell. When the thick cloud of dust rises in the sky, even if you can't see what's going on inside. Anyone who is discolored can probably guess. Everyone in the whole area, except Kizaru, is absolutely dead. On the marine side, watching the dust and smoke rise to a range of hundreds of meters that were destroyed. It took a long time before someone recovered from the sound of swallowing saliva. The boss stared at him suddenly, as if he couldn't believe what had happened. In this world, someone has shot at the celestial dragons. This is killing with absolute power in front of the entire marine under the eyes of the whole world on the live broadcast. There was a new shock in my heart, and I looked at the man who seemed to have done a trivial thing. A trembling thought, not only in marine, but also in all parts of the world at the same time. Demon. 8%. 028. Blackbeard appeared open black lens bracket 3/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Okay. Trivial stuff out of the way, we can move on, Garp. Trivial things. Garp heard that, and found that Bai Ye's face did not change because of killing the celestial dragons, but was extremely calm, as if he had done a trivial thing. Garp turned his head, his face sank, and he said solemnly, "The old man takes back what he said before, you are definitely a monster enough to shake the world." Shaking the world. To hear such an evaluation from you should be regarded as a compliment to me. However, the battle between us should continue. No, it should be over. After the words fell, Garp's reaction speed was absolutely top-notch. Armament hockey revealed a faintly entangled red light, and he punched Bai Ye immediately. The next moment, the tingling sensation of flames and lightning came from his fist, and Garp's face couldn't help but change. This conveyed feeling. Just thinking about it, Garp saw Bai Ye's stronger attack afterwards. Garp resisted subconsciously. This time, it was the first time Garp was knocked into the air. Boom. Garp grunted. His whole body turned into a stream of light, and suddenly crashed into the dilapidated office building of Naval Headquarters in the distance. Garp. Sengoku couldn't help shouting, "Mr. Garp! Mr. Garp!" Garp is still old. Bai Ye stared at the thick dust rising in the distance, knowing in his heart that although Garp would not be seriously injured, he couldn't help sighing. However, since he used Thunder Dragon Slayer magic, it meant that he was really serious. Advertisement. This is the strength that hit Magellan hard. Poison, how can it resist the Thunder Dragon Slayer magic? At this time, Garp got up from the ruins, his clothes had already been smashed into pieces following the fierce battle, and the strong body underneath was slightly damaged to varying degrees. Seeing that Garp was fine, the Marines collectively breathed a sigh of relief. Only Sengoku noticed a detail, and his face became more serious. Garp is panting. Although the power retained by Garp is the only existence close to the peak of all Marines in the old era. But Sengoku is very clear that Garp's age is placed here. In a short period of time, Garp can explode with a combat power not weaker than Whitebeard, and even kill Akainu. This is why Sengoku needs Crane to keep an eye on Garp's actions. But it is precisely because of this powerful combat power that he needs to be far stronger than anyone else and consume a lot of physical energy to maintain it. Sengoku has already seen that Garp's combat power has hardly regressed much, but compared to continuing to fight, Garp is definitely not as good as that demonic man. Garp's gasp now is the best proof. If you continue to fight. Sengoku fell silent. Garp could die. What a monster. Garp stood up from the ruins, jumped back in front of Bai Ye in Marine's shock, and sighed. Emerge from what appears to be a third devil fruit ability. Garp discovered that Bai Ye is more than just speed. Strength, reaction, power, all stronger than before. The fact that he was beaten into the air just now is the best proof. But, even so, from Marine's standpoint, it is absolutely impossible for him to retreat. Advertisement. Thereafter, the horrific battle re-emerges in the twisting collision of the air, beginning. The sea rolls before power. The sky is trembling. All the people in the world who watched this summit war couldn't help being shaken in their hearts. The strongest marine monster of the old era, the strongest demon of the new era. From the moment Garp made up his mind, the battle had grown to a level of horror beyond words. It's no longer an ordinary punch and kick collision. Garp will sometimes be knocked out, but the next moment he will reappear, bursting out with all the remaining strength in his body to continue the fight with all his strength. Horror picture. Shaking hearts all over the world. This is the strongest collision between the old marine era and the new era pirates. Dominate the summit war finale. The battle continued for a long time. Garp, stop. Sengoku saw blood spilling from his strong body. Garp, whose strength had obviously begun to weaken. Sengoku's nails and many marines were deeply stuck in the flesh. Now, anyone can see that, as time goes by, Garp's panting is gradually increasing, while Bai Ye is still as usual. In this war, even if Garp can barely stand up, the end is already obvious. Father. On the Moby Dick, the captain of the squad looked at the terrifying battle, his face was full of tremors. They were amazed at Bai Ye's strength. Advertisement. Also trembling at Garp's power. Such a monster. If it had been involved before, it would be self-evident. Of course, what shocks everyone the most now is Garp's unwavering fighting spirit and persistence. That Garp guy, is he going to die in this war? Whitebeard was silent for a while, staring at the terrifying battle in the distance, and slowly said, is it because of the so-called marine position again? It is precisely because of this, Garp, that old man doesn't like you and Sengoku. Dad, I remember Garp being aces. This is the guy's own choice. That guy has always been like this. Even if he hits his head and bleeds, he won't give up. Whitebeard interrupted Diamond Jazzy's words, his eyes flashed the scene of meeting Garp for the first time in the Cross Pirates. Immediately, Whitebeard had seen the end of the battle, and he began to order the withdrawal of the 43 pirate groups who followed this summit war. Too many people have died in this war. Now that the war is about to end, it is best for them to retreat as soon as possible. After giving the order, Whitebeard stood on the Moby Dick, watching the terrifying battle, but he didn't say a word from the bottom of his heart. That guy Garp shouldn't die so easily. Whitebeard saw Garp being knocked into the air. Garp roared and rushed to Bai Ye again. Whitebeard sighed. The era of the new era has come. Even he is just an ordinary person with an ordinary heart, and he will never be the strongest in the eyes of the world. Okay. Just at this moment, when Whitebeard thinks that Garp is clearly about to lose, a pirate ship suddenly breaks into the battle. That is, Whitebeard suddenly saw the figure above. Whitebeard's pupils froze suddenly, and a ray of anger floated in his eyes. The traitor of the Whitebeard Pirates, Blackbeard teach. PS. 8%. 029. Terrifying side dishes Blackbeard and his team, Bai Ye. This blow is over, 4/5 ask for flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Damn bastard, I told you not to use so much power. On the snatched warship, Blackbeard gritted his teeth and got up from the deck. Thinking of the evil wolf's bad idea, he couldn't help bursting into anger. Facing the surrounding wall of marine, that bastard evil wolf didn't even say hello in advance, he just grabbed the warship under their feet and threw it in. Fortunately, none of them are ordinary people. If they were ordinary people, they would lose half their lives even if they didn't fall to death, right? The guys imprisoned on the 6th floor are really dangerous. Blackbeard thought to himself. Before his plan is fully completed, he must not underestimate these bastards who may turn against him at any time. Gudu. Ship, Captain. What's wrong? Blackbeard frowned when he heard Badger's trembling voice. Following Badger's gaze, Blackbeard's pupils suddenly widened. As far as the eye can see, the entire summit war almost completely destroyed naval headquarters, and the office building was not spared. The Marine and Whitebeard pirates suffered many casualties. It was really a terrible and tragic war. Blackbeard wiped his brow. It's a good thing he didn't come to this summit war stupidly early in the morning. And then, Blackbeard looked through Badger's eyes, and Blackbeard saw a scene that he was destined to never forget in his life. A strong killing intent crushed him. The source of this murderous intent is Whitebeard. The man who was supposed to fight with Marine to the death is now standing on the Moby Dick staring at him with murderous eyes. With that terrifying killing intent, Blackbeard had the illusion of being suffocated, and his body stiffened uncontrollably. It was as if everything was frozen in time in front of this terrifying killing intent. Every second is a huge torture for him. What the hell is going on here? What happened? Blackbeard forcibly pressed down his body that was trembling with fear, and his brain immediately began to think quickly. Now it's not just Blackbeard, Shiryu of the Rain and others are looking at the destruction of the entire Summit War, and these people have extremely ugly expressions on their faces. Advertisement. Shiryu of the Rain saw Magellan on the marine side. No wonder Blackbeard was able to sneak into Impel Down without any problems, and even reach the 6th floor without any scruples. But, as the world's most vicious criminal, they are not fools. This Summit War has clearly come to an end at this moment, and this time to participate. A murderous Whitebeard, a marine full of murderous intent. Anyone who thinks with their toes knows that big trouble is afoot. No matter which side it is, they are not something they can offend now. Even though both sides suffered great losses because of this war, it is the injured lion that is often the scariest. Damn it, Blackbeard, your bastard plan is causing us big trouble now. The king of evil government, Pizarro looked around with a solemn face, and had already drawn his weapon. The same was true for the other people recruited by Blackbeard, and they did a good job of fighting together. No, it should be fleeing like a rabbit at any time. As some of the world's most vicious criminals, they join Blackbeard for nothing less than great profit. If there is no benefit, and they have to face the wrath of the two most terrifying forces in the world at the same time, they are absolutely willing to abandon the current Blackbeard immediately and choose to escape for self-protection. Genzuki Hunter, Katarine Timi has already done this. As the Nine-Tails Fox Demon Fruit power of the Phantom Beast, she has the ability to change into anyone's appearance, since both Marine and Whitebeard want Blackbeard's life. She would definitely not choose to stay and be buried with her. Now that she has finally gained freedom, she is not willing to end here. Bastard. You bloody bastard. Blackbeard couldn't help howling when he saw the Genzuki Hunter decisively abandoning him. I'm sorry, Blackbeard, I don't want to stay and be buried with you. I think they think so too, don't I? Diame's voice fell, and she decisively chose to abandon Blackbeard. Hearing this, Blackbeard gritted his teeth immediately. This bastard woman not only left him decisively, but also said the words he was most worried about right now. Blackbeard's eyes quietly swept over Shiryu and others. Advertisement. Blackbeard naturally understood that these ulterior motives would definitely choose to abandon themselves in the face of danger. The situation at the moment. Oops, it's just too bad. Why did it become like this? Lousy clearly planned it. Blackbeard gritted his teeth, clenched fists. At this moment, a scream suddenly came from a distance. Blackbeard looked, and he found that Diame, who had just run not far away, was attacked. It was Whitebeard's shock fruit ability. Seeing this scene, there was hope in Blackbeard's eyes, and he laughed loudly. Have you seen it? Have you seen it? This is what will happen if you choose to abandon Lousy at this time. Since there was an accident in the plan, the situation has now become like this. You should know that if you want to survive, you must unite. Otherwise, we will definitely die without a place to die. Thieves, ha 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 ha. After Blackbeard finished speaking, Dark Fruit's ability was released, and dark water like silt instantly filled his feet, which meant that he was ready to fight. He was a gambler, an absolute gambler, and since Whitebeard was injured, it proved that his plan had not completely failed, and there was still a slim chance. Given that Whitebeard has just experienced a great battle, it is absolutely impossible to maintain such a strong force. If he can succeed, then the plan is barely achieved. Damn it, Blackbeard, you really plotted against me. If that's the case, then I can only fight. Shiryu of the Rain stared at Blackbeard coldly, pulled out the famous knife from his waist, a few drops of cold sweat dripped from his forehead. With Shiryu of the Rain ready to fight, the evil king and others saw that there was no way to escape intact, so they gritted their teeth and took out their weapons. As the most ferocious criminals in the world, it is impossible for them to choose to be caught without a fight. That's right. Life and death are up to God. Only those who are afraid will lose. Thieves, ha ha ha. Whitebeard. See, this is the power of Lousy now. Lousy once admired you, but as time goes by, you will gradually grow old and weak, which is really difficult for the strong. How sad. Your era. Let Lousy inherit it. Well said, Captain. Whitebeard's head is ours. Wahahaha. Badger's next to Blackbeard heard that escape was impossible, so he jumped towards the Moby Dick when the captain's expression changed beside Whitebeard. The target was Whitebeard. Father. Joe's and the others changed their expressions. However, at this moment, fighting champion Badgers was suddenly hit by a figure flying upside down, his pupils widened in midair, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Boom. With a bang, it slammed into the mast of the warship, and the huge sail broke. Thick dust and smoke were set off. Subsequently, advertisement. While everyone in Blackbeard was staring, an old man soaked in blood stood up from the dust and smoke. Garp glanced at Blackbeard and his group, and said slowly, "The guy who messed up in this war." What he said made the old man's ears callous. "If you dare to appear here, you have prepared yourself to die, right?" Boom. This guy is. Garp. Why is this old guy here? Blackbeard and the others felt the oppressive force emanating from Garp, their pupils widened and they couldn't help but roar. After all, many people present were defeated by Garp. There is no need to doubt how strong this old guy is. Garp ignored Blackbeard, but looked far away. Blackbeard and his party were shocked, and said casually, the old man will appear here. Of course he was blown here by that monster. After Garp finished speaking, Blackbeard and the others were stunned for several seconds. Fly. Who can beat this old guy into the air? Immediately, seeing the blood shed on Garp's body after the battle, Blackbeard's group collectively trembled. What kind of monster could have sent this Whitebeard-like old guy flying here? Terrible thoughts came along with fear. Blackbeard and his party turned their faces stiffly, and followed Garp's gaze. I saw a demon-like man, with a pair of palms bathed in flames and lightning respectively, pointed at this side. In an instant, Blackbeard and the others felt their scalps explode. It's the monster. Damn it. Blackbeard nearly growled. This blow, it's over, Garp, since the side dishes are here, let's solve it together. Bai Ye's voice fell. In Bai Ye's hand, the dragon-slaying magic is enough to destroy dozens of islands in an instant, all of a sudden. The next moment, it was like a beam of light penetrating the sky and the earth, blasting towards Blackbeard and his party. Dragon Slayer magic. The roar of the Dragon King Layan. 030. The end of the Summit War. The red-haired bewilderment. 5/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Thunder Flame Dragon Kings. Roar. ... The beam of light piercing through the sky and the earth rushed to the discolored Blackbeard and others. Dark water. Defend quickly. Defend quickly. Damn it. When Blackbeard and the others saw the destructive beams whose pupils were constantly expanding, almost everyone's nerves were instantly tensed up to ultimate, their faces changed drastically, and they quickly exerted all their strengths. But, rumbling. The huge shaking still started. Whether it's move resistance, Blackbeard's dark water, or the slash from Shiryu of the rain, all of them are swallowed by this power enough to destroy the world. Thereafter, when the violent shaking lasted for tens of seconds, it finally faintly and gradually subsided. Only Sengoku and others saw the destructive power of Bai Ye's unleashed beam of light. Sengoku, Whitebeard, Admiral, Marine, members of the Whitebeard Pirates, and even around the world, all of them subconsciously opened their mouths, showing the unspeakable horror they saw. I saw that after the violent tremor, it was a picture, enough to make countless forces in the world feel terrified. The sky seemed to be forcibly torn apart. The earth seemed to be almost crushed. Naval Headquarters, looking from the perspective of the front, the entire port of Naval Headquarters, together with the sea surrounding the outermost wall, seems to have been completely wiped out by some kind of horror. This is a huge pitch-black horizontal ditch that runs through the sea and is completely sunken for thousands of meters. The blue sea water on both sides pours into the center like a waterfall. This is a terrifying power that seems to make all life disappear. This kind of thing. Sengoku opened his mouth wide, watching the chilling scene in front of him. After a few seconds, Sengoku seemed to have lost his strength, kneeling on the ground with one knee, his eyes fixed on his hands, and his pupils were filled with unspeakable tremors. Facing the frightening picture of the world in front of me. What Sengoku saw now was not the horrific devastation wrought by the demonic man. Rather, Marine has completely declared defeat in this summit war. Damn it, how can this kind of demon give up? Sengoku, this war should end. At this time, a voice suddenly sounded beside Sengoku. It was Suru Vice Admiral. Crane stared at the horrifying picture, and remained silent for a long time before continuing. Now no matter which side has paid a big enough price for this war, plus the death of celestial dragons. Actually, you don't have to blame yourself. You have done your best in this war. You can only blame us for not thinking that there are such monsters in this world. In that case, then at least. Hearing this, Sengoku couldn't accept the facts, and turned his eyes to Ace's execution, but was stopped by the crane. Advertisement. Sengoku had lost his composure, even Suru could see it. Although she also wants to keep the worst bloodline here at least, but the current situation of the entire summit war is already obvious. In this war, Marine lost. If Sengoku chooses to forcibly kill Ace now, what will happen next? Even if it is Suru, she cannot predict what will happen next. Thus, see Circle Calendar 1520. The summit war, which terrified the world and lasted several hours, ended at the Marine's own initiative. Ace was taken away by Marco and others, and the Whitebeard Pirates also chose to retreat. This summit war, in the future, it is also hailed by countless forces as the birth of the Sea Emperor who opened a new era. ... Grand Line, first half. Moby Dick, deck under the blue sky here. Gu la la la, here, Bai Ye boy. Wine, nothing else. Other wine. Before the old man came, he had already prepared to be buried here, so you don't have to make so many requests. Whitebeard was sitting on the deck of the Moby Dick, while Marco bandaged Whitebeard's wounds. Whitebeard couldn't help complaining. Hearing this, Bai Ye sighed and had to take the wine from Whitebeard's hand. Forget it, just wine, it's better to have something than nothing. Gu la la la, you are still picky about wine as always. Who would have thought that you would go your own way, and it hasn't changed at all from when I saw you 13 years ago. The old man apologizes for this, it's not enough to apologize, gu la la la. Okay, you should also drink less bars, this war, you should be very clear about your current situation. Bai Ye opened the wine in his hand and said. Bai Ye looked at the injury on Whitebeard's body. Knife wounds, gunshot wounds, lava and frozen fruit. There were no less than 58 injuries, large or small. With Bai Ye's level of strength, Whitebeard's physical condition can be seen clearly at a glance. Moreover, this is only a superficial injury. If the injury penetrated by a kainu is counted, the severity of Whitebeard's internal organ injury may not be lower than that of the external injury. If such an injury were placed on an ordinary person, it would be almost impossible to survive. Therefore, Bai Ye sighs from time to time about the human physique in this world. I have the premise of possessing dragon-slaying magic to have a physique beyond human beings, but these guys are real natural monsters. Gu la la la, it's okay, the old man's life will be taken by the heavens, but before that, the old man wants to thank you for keeping that Garp guy for the last time, right? After Whitebeard finished speaking, he glanced at Ace with dilated pupils in the distance. Bai Ye waved his hands and said, it's because I keep my hands. It's better to say that Garp's body is much stronger than yours. Are you really a person of the same age? Even Roger doesn't dare to underestimate Garp's physical skills. I'm just an ordinary person with an ordinary heart. Don't compare my abilities with Garp. Gu la la la. Advertisement. If you were an ordinary person, then probably there would be no monsters in this world. Bai Ye said. What about you, kid? I still prefer to keep a low profile. You can't understand my character very well. Whitebeard. Low key. But you really made a big fuss in this summit war. I'm afraid that after this war, you probably won't have a peaceful life in the future. Whitebeard said, sighing. World government. Yeah, Whitebeard nodded. I'm not worried about this. If someone wants to die, why don't you help stop him? Whitebeard was taken aback. Then he saw Bai Ye acting like he had nothing to do with him, and Whitebeard was at a loss for words. But he was also shocked when he thought of the real strength shown by this friend, and it seemed that there was nothing wrong with it. As long as Bai Ye doesn't risk his life to go to the core of the world government, there are almost few existences in this world that can threaten him. Having figured this out, Whitebeard was about to ask if the cost of Bai Ye's move was huge. Sudden. The third captain, Chowzi and Wabel, ran over with a change of expression. Dad, it's bad. Something happened to New World. Brother Bai Ye, something happened to New World. New World. Marco originally wanted to stop Diamond Chowzi, but Marco's expression changed when he heard that something happened in New World. Take it easy, my sons, Whitebeard said. Diamond Chowzi and Wabel calm down, and then they have a bad news from New World. Because of this summit war, countless forces in New World are fighting for the territory of the Whitebeard Pirates at this time. At this time, the New World is in complete chaos. After all, those careerists will not watch Summit War honestly. Almost everyone thinks that Whitebeard will die after the Summit War, like a shark smelling blood, and anyone wants to get a piece of the Whitebeard Pirates' territory. The current New World has completely started to mess up. Damn it. Those damned bastards. They think that Dad. When Marco heard the situation in New World, blue flames burst out from his body, showing Marco's anger. Dad, let's go back to New World. Let those nasty guys know how powerful our Whitebeard Pirates are. Father. The other captains couldn't help but speak one after another. The territory under the protection of the Whitebeard Pirates is the only peaceful place in the New World for emperors, so any 4 emperors' territory is richer and more secure. But now, if the vicious pirates of the New World start to plunder these sites, then the leaders of the Whitebeard pirate team present are naturally very clear about what will happen to the ordinary people living on them. Advertisement. Moreover, the families of many members of the Whitebeard Pirates lived on those islands, so even after the war, they couldn't help showing anxiety on their faces when they heard the news of the accident in New World. Whitebeard listened to the news from the New World. Whitebeard looked at the entire Moby Dick looking towards the crew. Under everyone's gaze, Whitebeard's complexion slowly sank. He put down the wine bottle in his hand, held Kong Yunchi, and shouted loudly. In this case, it seems that we can't let people underestimate our Whitebeard Pirates, sons. Get ready to return. Let those ignorant, evil guys feel the greetings from the Whitebeard Pirates. Oh, father, father, father. On the entire Moby Dick, when they heard Whitebeard's order, both the wounded and the captain of the 16th Division couldn't help but burst into loud shouts. Whitebeard, this guy, still can't change. When everyone burst into shouts, Bai Ye saw that Whitebeard was actually supporting his body with Kong Yunchi, and shook his head. This stupid friend is still as willful as ever. But maybe this is the case, he will choose to stay with the Whitebeard Pirates when he crosses over. Speaking of, there is one thing Bai Ye didn't tell Whitebeard. Although the previous blow was terrifyingly powerful, but with Blackbeard's luck, maybe he might still be alive. Besides, Bai Ye always felt like he forgot one thing. What would it be? At the same time, Naval Headquarters. A pirate group named Red Hair was dumbfounded. Shanks was just about to say he ended the summit war himself. And then, no more. Shanks looked at the shattered naval headquarters, then at the disappearing Whitebeard Pirates, and fell into a dazed look. Not long ago, he saw the war here, so he rushed over from New World to stop Kaido. Turns out, What the hell is going on here? Captain, we found an interesting guy. Shanks was in a daze. At this moment, Usopp's voice came. When Shanks came to Usopp upon hearing the words, Shanks' pupils froze suddenly. Blackbeard. Percent. 031. Reward, 2.486 billion, 1/5 asking for flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... See circle calendar end of 1520. At this point, the Summit War is already 3 months away. Because of Summit War, the entire world, including those 3 months, has undergone tremendous turmoil. Naval headquarters has been completely fragmented because of the light beam that penetrates the sky and the earth. After this war, Marine chose to relocate to the headquarters. For the man who was like a devil in the new era, he chose to transfer the entire naval headquarters to New World, the former Marine G1 branch. And because of the responsibility of this Summit War, the current Marine Marshal Sengoku submitted his resignation to the world government in the second month after the end, and chose to retreat behind the scenes. The new marshal announced in the third month that the former Admiral Akainu will be in charge. For a while, the appearance of the new Marine Marshal Akainu caused the whole world to be in turmoil. The same way, this Summit War benefits the most. Nothing more than at this time the whole world remembered a young man who was as frightening as a demon. Bai Ye, the world's first multiple demon fruit power. Killing celestial dragons is like a demon doing a trivial thing. Even beat Marine hero Garp in Summit War. The strongest pirate demon of the new era, etc. All over the world, after the Summit War, Bai Ye has made many names in just the first month. But to say that it is recognized, it is still published by Morgans, the World Economic newspaper. This is a feast for the birth of a sea emperor in a new era. This moment, Bai Ye's bounty, from the original insignificant intelligence personnel, after several revisions in just 3 months, it was promulgated by the world government, and it has increased to 2.4 billion Baileys. Advertisement. The Emperor of the Sea in the new era. At the same time, New World, Knock Island. Quick, run. Those brutal guys are coming again. What the hell are they going to do? Harululu, the Whitebeard Pirates are now suppressing their territory everywhere. Even if Lousy wants to leave, he must take the wealth here. With a big knife on his shoulders, a pirate captain with scars on his face couldn't help laughing when he stepped on this rich island. Most of the pirates in New World are often extremely evil. Now that they have gnawed a piece of meat from the Whitebeard Pirates, they don't want to let go no matter what. At least, before leaving, they will plunder all the wealth and women here. Old man, go to hell. A member of the Jackal Pirates saw an old thing standing in front of him, so he drew his sword and wanted to chop it off at will. Most pirates are extremely vicious, and the lives of ordinary people are naturally inferior to ants in their eyes. Father, a man in the distance couldn't help shouting. Just when the old man closed his eyes because he didn't want his homeland to be harmed by these guys, a blue flame figure suddenly appeared, and the pirate, boom, kicked away. Who the hell? Faced with the sudden change, the face of the scarred Jackal Pirates on board changed, and they looked around. He followed the place where the blue flame hit, his whole face froze. I saw that it was a man whose arms turned into blue flame wings. People from the Whitebeard Pirates had appeared around the island at some time. Disappear. Damn. Why did the Whitebeard Pirates come so soon? Damn it. This is obviously the most marginal place. Hey. Lousy is under Kaido-sama. You can't kill Lousy here. Oh, is it so? Marco stomped a pirate under his feet, raised his eyebrows when he heard this, and then Marco slammed the blue flame flying wings at the captain of the Jackal Pirates. If you are really Kaido's subordinate, please wait until you meet Kaido one day and tell him. This is a greeting from the Whitebeard Pirates. What? Advertisement. Marco's blue flame immediately engulfed the pirate captain, screaming. The Jackal Pirates only offered a reward of 110 million Baileys in New World. And most of the fame is obtained by massacring civilians, so it is naturally impossible to block Marco's attack. Suppressing the pirates who were making trouble here, Marco glanced at the situation here, and murmured, in this way, this is the last island in Daddy's territory. Moby Dick aboard. Gu la la la, Bai Ye boy, your latest bounty is really scary. Whitebeard took out a bottle of fine wine, and looked at the reward in his hand. Above is a photo of Bai Ye using Yanlongwang in Summit War. Then, the real bounty is 2.486 billion Baileys. The following is also marked with an extremely dangerous rating by Naval Headquarters, possessing demons with enough power to shake the world. 24 billion. Bai Ye murmured softly when he saw his bounty. Why, you don't seem to have any accidents. Whitebeard was taken aback. Bai Ye spread his hands and said, if I didn't know your bounty, I might be a little surprised. In fact, I thought it would be a little more. Whitebeard. The corners of Whitebeard's mouth twitched slightly. It's obviously just a very plain look. How can he feel a kind of painting style that is blowing over his face and something is wrong? This is the first official reward. This amount, looking at the whole world, even Roger and his group, there is absolutely no one who can be officially rewarded for the first time. But for Bai Ye, this unsurprising attitude. Whitebeard opened his mouth, and could only come up with an evaluation that Bai Ye was such a person, and he didn't value his bounty at all. He had thought young people would be very concerned about this. In fact, as a time traveler, the amount of reward offered is really not very high in Bai Ye's opinion. Don't forget, Blackbeard in the original book went through the Summit War, and finally got a reward of 2,247,600,000 Baileys. In terms of the threatening power displayed, Blackbeard is definitely far from qualified to compare with Bai Ye. So even if there was a reward of 3 billion Baileys, he wouldn't be too surprised. After all, offering rewards is a thing, just take a look. Advertisement. Bounty is not exactly equal to combat power, we must first understand this concept. More elements in the reward are based on the harm to the world, the crimes committed, and the destruction of villages and towns. His first bounty, though, showed a world-shaking threat, plus blatantly killing celestial dragons, defeating Marine Admiral, Marine hero Garp, and more. It seems to have all the terror deterrents, but Bai Ye is very clear about one thing. He doesn't have his own territory, his own power. This is the key point that makes him offer rewards and discounts. If he is alone, even if he is a great threat, in the eyes of the world government, he is probably within the controllable range. After all, the world government, which has stood untouched for 800 years, definitely hides a lot of things. Don't look at Bai Ye who makes the world terrified, but don't forget, wasn't such a guy defeated more than 40 years ago. Therefore, Bai Ye has never underestimated the power of world government in this world. You are so calm, if Golden Lion is half as good as you, that guy's achievements in the past will definitely be even higher. Whitebeard looked at Bai Ye's calm expression, and sighed. At this moment, Wable ran over excitedly like a big bear kid. It turns out that Wable's bounty has also increased. From 230 million, it was raised to 480 million that became Shichibukai 2 years later in the original book. This may be because Bai Ye brought Wable to the Whitebeard Pirates 10 years ago, and it is normal for the bounty to increase slowly. Now after this Summit War, Wable's threatening power is naturally fully exposed, and Marine has to take Wable seriously at the level of the official captain of the Whitebeard Pirates. When Marine was setting up a new reward, Kizaru even joked that this guy's brute force seemed to be like a young Whitebeard. If the crane hadn't interrupted Marine who was in charge of offering the reward, it is estimated that Wable's reward would be even higher. But 480 million Pele is not low. In Bai Ye's view, if Wable's combat power, which he has cultivated in the Whitebeard Pirates over the past 10 years, is up against Kaido's 900 million Ivory Jack the Drow, and the opponent does not use despicable methods, he is definitely not Wable's opponent. Gu la la la. Well done, my son. Whitebeard praised the excited Wable, then drank the wine down his throat, looked at Bai Ye and said suddenly. By the way, Bai Ye boy, at your age, you should also consider finding a woman to marry in the sea, right? PFF'd. Whitebeard's voice fell, and the captains who were eavesdropping around sprayed the drinks in their mouths on the faces of their comrades in front of them. Rao Bai Ye was also taken aback by Whitebeard's sudden sentence for a long time. 9%. 032. Open the fourth template, Dragon Slayer magic in the sky. Open black lens bracket 2/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Why did you bring this up all of a sudden? Bai Ye looked at Whitebeard. Whitebeard said with a smile. Gu la la la, you were just a brat back then, so I naturally wouldn't bring it up, but with your kid's character, you don't want to be like Sengoku and Golden Lion, right? Of course, I am satisfied with them already. Bai Ye. Bai Ye naturally knew what they, in Whitebeard's mouth, was referring to. If it weren't for knowing that as a person who has been displaced since childhood, Whitebeard's greatest wish is to have a family, I'm afraid he would really think that Whitebeard is a purely crazy son. However, perhaps it is precisely this wish that Whitebeard did not leave any real heirs in his life, but the meaning of the entire Whitebeard Pirates to Whitebeard is a family that has surpassed the blood relationship. It is for this reason that Whitebeard is hailed by his sons as a man with a heart comparable to the sea. Brother Bai Ye is getting married. Brother Bai Ye, whatever woman you want, I will get it back for you. Wable immediately shouted while holding the knife. Okay, don't make trouble for me. Hearing Wable's words, Bai Ye's forehead turned black. Seeing this scene, Whitebeard couldn't help laughing. Gu la la la. Indeed, don't make trouble for him, I guess he also has a headache, but. Whitebeard's tone sank, and he said, if it's Bai Ye who is looking for a woman, then not every woman can be good enough for him, right? Gu la la la. Advertisement. This sentence you said is still a little bit human. Bai Ye reached out and touched Whitebeard. It can be regarded as agreeing with this sentence, of course, that's all. Since the Summit War, the attitude of the entire Whitebeard Pirates towards him has undergone earth-shaking changes. In case Whitebeard releases this kind of news, causing Marco and his group to riot in New World, Bai Ye probably will have a headache or not. Fortunately, at this moment, Ace ran over and interrupted the atmosphere. After these 3 months, Ace has fully recovered and no longer recalls the despair of Summit War. Although Summit War saved Ace, Ace has clearly understood how much wrong he made in the Whitebeard Pirates because of his willfulness. So for the first month, Ace hardly dared to face his trusted companions in the Whitebeard Pirates. It wasn't until Ace asked Bai Ye for advice that he seemed to have figured something out, and then he slowly came out of this state. Ace's conclusion from Bai Ye is actually very simple. Just one sentence: you are too weak. Impulsive personality, overconfident in his ability to deal with Blackbeard, these are the shortcomings before Ace Summit War. Advertisement. But even if these shortcomings are corrected, the world will not forget that Sengoku announced the worst blood inherited from him. Therefore, the best way is to work hard to become stronger. As long as it becomes strong enough, things like Summit War will not happen again. Only by becoming strong enough can he protect his valued companion and no longer make people worry about him. Therefore, Ace will come to consult Bai Ye whenever he has time in the 3rd month. Ace originally wanted to worship Bai Ye as his teacher. After seeing the power of Bai Ye's golden flame, Ace realized that his Mera fruit ability was not in the same dimension as the man in front of him. Hopeless gap. Although Bai Ye agreed to Ace's advice, he did not become Ace's teacher. One is that his personality is not suitable to be a teacher, these things should be done by the old guy. The second is that Bai Ye's power system is derived from dragon-slaying magic, which seems to be close to the devil fruit system of One Piece world, but it is completely different in essence. The strengthening that Bai Ye can provide to Ace is just a theory about the use of Mera fruit, and some methods of using the flame foundation. Based on these two premises, Bai Ye promised to teach Ace, but he would not be his teacher. Speaking of which, Bai Ye suddenly remembered what he forgot that day a month ago. Luffy. Summit War seems to have completely missed the shadow of Luffy. Advertisement. Later, Bai Ye learned from the information of the Whitebeard Pirates that Straw Hat Crew entered Impel Down with Blackbeard, but since Ace had been transferred by Magellan, Straw Hat Crew, Buggy, Lockdoll and others chose another road. However, due to the lack of marine warships, naturally encountered big problems when passing the Calm Belt. Even though the Murloc Jinbei could provide great help, after a bitter battle, the Summit War would have already ended by the time the Straw Hat Crew arrived at naval headquarters. And, at this time Luffy is being taught hard by Garp. According to this progress, I am afraid that Luffy's teaching will change from Rayleigh to Garp. Of course, Bai Ye doesn't care too much about this point. After all, from the day he came to Pirate World, the original history of this world has undergone tremendous changes. If you are afraid of changing this plot and changing that plot like in some novels, then you are really a time traveler in vain. Bai Ye is such a person, any action he takes is based on his own needs, and everything is controlled by his will. Suddenly, a reminder sounded in Bai Ye's mind. Ding! Congratulations to host for opening the 4th template and obtaining the magic of Dragon Slayer in the sky. Dragon Slayer magic in the sky, Proficiency 1. Sky Dragon Slayer magic, percent. 033. Dragon Slayer magic in the sky open black lens bracket 3/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Sky Dragon Slayer magic. Hear the system sound that has not appeared in my mind for a long time. There was a hint of surprise in Bai Ye's eyes, but it quickly dissipated. Don't forget, the proficiency of the 3 kinds of dragon-slaying magic that he has mastered has reached the terrifying full level. Dragon Slayer magic in the sky. He remembered that it seemed to be the Dragon Slayer magic possessed by Wendy in the original fairy tale, and this ability was also the only auxiliary magic among all Dragon Slayer magic. It is precisely because of this relationship that this dragon-slaying magic cannot be transformed into flames and lightning like the Dragon Slayer magic of fire or the Dragon Slayer magic of thunder. However, this ability is not completely useless. Just like the devil fruit in One Piece world, although there are upper and lower levels, as long as the lower level fruits are willing to develop, they can still become stronger, but the upper limit is definitely not as potential as the upper level fruits. Speaking of which, about this dragon slaying magic. There are a few places that attracted Bai Ye. As an auxiliary dragon slayer magic, the source of the power of this ability is the sky, so it can give the owner the ability to fly. It's like Golden Lion's lion fruit. Advertisement. It even has the power to control the sky, the wind. In addition, the Sky Dragon Slayer magic has 2 abilities that other Dragon Slayer magic absolutely cannot possess. First, because the Sky Dragon Slayer magic is an auxiliary magic, it can add the power of Dragon Slayer to the weapon. For example, what someone is holding is an ordinary knife. But in Bai Ye's hands, this is a knife with the power to slay dragons. Although the essence is the same knife, it will undergo earth-shaking changes due to different people holding it. This idea, how about putting it on top of a sword that is itself a supreme sword? A supremely sharp knife with the power to slay dragons. Second, it is the place where the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky attracts Bai Ye the most. Because the Dragon Slayer magic of the sky does not have the various powerful destructive powers of the Dragon Slayer magic of fire, the Dragon Slayer magic of thunder, and even the Dragon Slayer magic of poison. Therefore, the dragon slaying magic in the sky has a power that does not exist in other dragon slaying magic. This power was born to make up for the lack of fighting power of the dragon slaying magic in the sky, dragon power. Dragon power. This is the unique move of Sky Dragon Slayer magic. The user activates the dragon power form, which is considered to be the last and most powerful form that a dragon slayer can achieve. It will allow the owner of the dragon-slaying magic in the sky to have a power that is truly comparable to that of a giant dragon. Advertisement. On this point, Bai Ye definitely has no doubts. The 3 kinds of dragon-slaying magic he originally possessed already gave him a terrifying physique comparable to or even surpassing any single giant dragon. In the eyes of outsiders, they only have this kind of power in the form of a human being. What Bai Ye is curious about is how much growth will be brought to him by turning on the power of dragon under this premise. Coupled with the flying power of the Sky Dragon Slayer magic. Now, the overwhelming destructive power of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, the penetration and speed power of the Lightning Dragon Slayer magic, the Poisonous Dragon Slayer magic's immunity to all diseases, viruses, and even the power to swallow, plus the newly acquired Sky Destroyer at this time dragon magic. Bai Ye couldn't help pinching his chin. From the looks of it, Kaido, the fake bug, is the guy who should change his title of the strongest creature in the world of sea, land and air. Don't forget, Bai Ye was not a capable person from the beginning to the end. I remember that the dragon-slaying magic in the sky uses the atmosphere contained in the sky as the source of power. The purer the air, the stronger the improvement will be. It seems that the proficiency improvement of this dragon-slaying magic will not be so easy. Bai Ye murmured as he saw that the dragon-slaying magic in the sky was only 1% proficient. It seems that he will travel around if he has the opportunity. With his current strength fully exposed in the world, Bai Ye can see that the future will never be as peaceful as it is now. Advertisement. The tranquility at this time is just that after the Summit War, Marine is not sure about him and is recovering. After seeing the Traversers 2 years after the original Summit War, Bai Ye knew very well that even though the Summit War suffered huge losses, it only took 2 years for Marine to recover. Afterwards, not only will it be fully restored in just 2 years, but even Marine's troop strength will also receive a new upgrade. For example, add Admiral Fujitora Yishao, Green Bull, Admiral's alternate Momosuke, T-Dolphins and so on. These people were before the Summit War. Even after so many years of time travel, Bai Ye has basically never heard of these people in the world. Therefore, we should not underestimate the structure of One Piece world. Even if some folk masters don't have any fame, this group of people absolutely exists in this world. Who knows how many such people will appear in the future? Of course, Bai Ye is only afraid of these powers at the moment. Since his strength has been exposed to the whole world, he only needs to become stronger. It is so strong that no force dares to touch it, and all problems will naturally be solved. After all, he was not a person who was afraid of trouble. The troublesome guys, shouldn't they all be dead? 9%. 034. The world government's decision, 4/5 asking for flower evaluation votes. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. At the same time. Sanctuary Mariajoy. World Government Conference Room. The 5 leaders with the highest power in the world government, at this time, a man with many scars compared to 3 months ago is located here. This person is Akainu, who was announced as the new Marine Marshal just a few days ago, a month before Sengoku resigned as Marshal. Shouldn't we go after that bastard? Let that devil get away with it. Akainu clenched his fists that were bubbling with lava, stared at the 5 shadowy old men in front of him, and said through gritted teeth. After Akainu finished speaking, a voice of reprimand sounded immediately. Akainu, pay attention to your attitude. We decided to make you the new Marine Marshal, not to let you come here to be presumptuous. That Marine's face. Are you sure it's not because of your loss of face? Want to seek revenge on that man? A bald-headed 5 elders, wearing a white Taoist uniform and holding a black knife, spoke mercilessly. When Akainu heard this, the figure that made him fear for a moment flashed across his mind. The veins on his forehead were bulging, and he seemed to feel the pain in his arm. Akainu wanted to refute, but his face turned red and he said nothing. Not come out. The white-haired and white-bearded 5 elders glanced at the aggrieved Akainu, and this time he continued. Leave aside the problem of your appearance as a marshal. Now is not the time to seek revenge on that man. Order someone to find him today. You came here to tell you what to do now as the marshal. Listen here, old man. Akainu found that the 5 old fellows didn't pay much attention to him as the new marshal, and simply turned his head away with his fists clenched. Advertisement. 5 elders saw that Akainu was still dissatisfied, but they didn't bother to bother. They chose Akainu instead of Aokiji recommended by Sengoku. The reason was actually very simple, as long as Akainu was completely loyal to the world government. For now, get Akainu over here. The first is to maintain the stable rule of the world government, and to open a new era in the future. One is that Marine needs to take advantage of the period when the original G1 branch of New World is replaced by naval headquarters, and the world government will cooperate with Marine to carry out the necessary personnel expansion. Simply put, it is the world recruitment plan. After the Summit War, Marine's high-level combat power was damaged, and the middle and lower combat power suffered more than half of the casualties. This is an urgent matter. For the sake of the stability of the world government is preparing to recruit experts from the private sector to join the Marine government in order to expand its combat power. Second, although Blackbeard's current whereabouts are unknown, because Blackbeard sneaked into Impel down in the chaos, he released some troublesome guys on the 6th floor. Except for Summit War who has already appeared, the list of guys who have not appeared has been sorted out. As follows. World Destroyer. Burndi World. Paramesha Momo Fruit Ability User. Lonely Red. Baloric Redfield. Zone Bat Fruit Phantom Beast Vampire Ability User. One Piece Roger Remnant Crew. Douglas Bullet. Paramesha Fusion Fruit Ability, etc. This list, taken individually by each of the guys on it, cannot be ignored by the world government. Although the devil-like man was terrifying, since he had no record of shooting before he exposed his power to threaten the world, it can be temporarily judged that the other party may have been injured in the Summit War, and it will not cause too much trouble for the time being. But the guys on this list are different. These are the worst left over from the era of Cross and even Roger of One Piece. Most importantly, these guys all hate the world government. Although the possibility of this group of people joining forces is very small, the Blackbeard gang that appeared in Summit War had to let 5 elders guess this possibility. And even if these guys die, new troubles will arise. The devil fruit ability of these guys, if they are reborn all over the world, this is the last thing the world government wants to see. Advertisement. And, this meeting is the last. This is the discussion about the devil who currently offers a reward of 2.4 billion. Although the world government doesn't want to provoke the other party for the time being, it is absolutely impossible for the world government not to be tempted by how to have 2, or even, 3 devil fruit abilities. Thereafter, time began to move slowly. A week later. New World. After Bai Ye pointed out Ace's small use of flame control, Bai Ye looked at his ability panel at this time. Fire Dragon Slayer Magic, Proficiency 100. Thunder Dragon Slayer Magic, Proficiency 100. Poison Dragon Slayer Magic, Proficiency 100. Dragon Slayer Magic in the Sky, Proficiency 2%. Yes, after a week, Bai Ye's mastery of Sky Dragon Slaying Magic has only increased by 1%, which can be said to have hardly improved. Although the strength is cultivated gradually step by step, Bai Ye is really dissatisfied with this speed. The source of magical power of Sky Dragon Slayer is the sky. But the weird and changeable weather on the sea in New World really made Bai Ye speechless. One second it was wind and snow, the next second it might be hail, and then there is the scorching sun that lasts for half a day. If there is no Sky Dragon Slaying Magic, Bai Ye has long been used to this kind of weather, but if he wants to improve the Sky Dragon Slayer Magic, this kind of weather is full of malice. Advertisement. This was the first time that Bai Ye felt that mastering a dragon slaying magic was so slow after time traveling. If the speed of mastering was slow before, he could still develop slowly in a low-key manner, and unknowingly stood on the top of the strongest group of people in the pirate world. But now, Bai Ye is very clear that he will not be given so much time in the future. It seems that I'm going to find an opportunity to travel for a while. It just so happens that some theories are basically handed over to Ace during this period, and I don't have to be annoyed by people like Marco by the way. Bai Ye was sitting on the deck of the Moby Dick, thinking of people like Marco. Bai Ye made a decision. Since Ace came to ask for advice, Marco and other captains have followed suit, losing almost all the morals that captains can lose. If this continues, Bai Ye reckons that this group of people will almost change their name to Daddy. Bai Ye didn't want to wake up that day, and Whitebeard was blocking the door, writing with a dazed expression, "Where are the old man's sons?" Single quote dot. Thinking about this kind of screen, Bai Ye instantly clicked the screen. Although it has been 13 years since he traveled, Bai Ye was still a teenager when he boarded the Whitebeard pirate ship. In terms of age, Marco and his group are almost older than Bai Ye. How weird is the secondary screen? At this moment, a flying newspaper was caught in Bai Ye's hand. This was released this morning by the World Economic News newspaper, Big News, Morgans. On this piece of news, it is impressively written that the world government will publicly launch the World Conscription Plan 1 month later, that is, the Sea Circle calendar will start in 2021. And then, that's where Bai Ye will pay attention. Morgans deliberately targeted this conscription, because the world government was afraid of the Sea Emperor who was destined to be born in the new era, and thus started the world conscription. For a moment, because of this news, the whole world recalled the demons of Summit War again. Bai Ye looked at the newspaper that Morgans was raving about in his hand, and he knew that the global conscription plan in the original book should have started ahead of schedule because of his involvement in the Summit War. 035. Red Hair Pirates Open Black Lens Bracket 5/5 Close Black Lens Bracket Excessive. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. 3 days later. It was the day Bai Ye made his plans. When Whitebeard heard about Bai Ye's plan, Whitebeard was stunned for a moment, and then told him what a friend should do. Speaking of which, since Whitebeard met Bai Ye 13 years ago, Bai Ye has always kept a low profile in the Whitebeard Pirates except for drinking. From the perspective of his friend, Whitebeard commented that he is not suitable for his age. Mature imp. Now that Bai Ye has made a plan, Whitebeard will definitely support him as a friend. Moreover, in a sense, Bai Ye has never been a member of the Whitebeard Pirates. Compared with Marco and others, Whitebeard's attitude towards Bai Ye has always been from the perspective of a friend. From Whitebeard's point of view, having such a close friend is better than a real family member even if it is not a family member. Even if it does not really belong to the Whitebeard Pirates, it is not important to a true friend at all. Advertisement. For things like friends, people who have known each other for more than 10 years don't need to have too many words to understand each other's meaning, that's enough. Father, we seem to have a troublesome bunch here. At this time, Marco's arms turned into burning blue flame wings, flew down from the pole and spoke. Troublesome guy. Whitebeard frowned. Marco glanced at Bai Ye subconsciously, and then pressed down almost to catch up with the eyes asking for advice. Marco said with a seriousness rarely seen after the Summit War, the red-haired guy is here. What's that kid with red hair here? Whitebeard looked in the direction of Marco's gaze. I saw, under the blue sky where seagulls flew by in the distance, this is a large pirate ship appearing in the waters of the Whitebeard Pirates. The black flag flying on it is a skull pirate flag with 3 scars on the left eye. This logo, coupled with the shape of a large pirate ship, is self-evident. It is the red force on which the Red Hair Pirates, one of the New World 4 emperors, ride. That's it. Red hair. Advertisement. Red hair. What is that bastard doing here at this time? Could it be that you are here to challenge Dad? Damn it. Ready to fight. On the Moby Dick, the members of the Whitebeard Pirates could not help but change their expression slightly when they saw the red force approaching gradually, and took up their weapons to prepare for battle. Redhead and Papa know each other, of course they know, but the Whitebeard Pirates have too many things to do recently. It took nearly 3 months to clean up all the sharks that New World smelled of blood. After all, the living people cannot be fools, and they are gathered together for you to deal with, not to mention that some of them are suspected to come from the affiliated pirates of Kaido and Charlotte. So when the red hair came, they couldn't help but tense up their nerves. La, don't be nervous, sons, if the red-haired brat came to fight the old man, he wouldn't be so polite. Seeing his sons on the deck ready to fight, Whitebeard interrupted the tense atmosphere. Father, there's one more thing I didn't tell you. Advertisement. Marco's face was slightly gloomy at this time, and he leaned towards Whitebeard and whispered, Dad, just when I found him, I saw a familiar guy on the red-haired boat. That guy is Teach. After saying that, Whitebeard's pupils froze suddenly, and a terrifying aura faintly appeared around his body. Although the time was short, Marco clearly felt his father's anger. Father. Marco's face couldn't help but change. Whitebeard's face darkened, and he said, in that case, let me see what the red-haired boy is doing. After finishing speaking, in this piece of seagulls passing by the blue sea under the sky, the Whitebeard Pirates Moby Dick and the Red Hair Pirates Red Force slowly came into contact. After the two parties started to look at each other, when the Whitebeard Pirates noticed the extra figures on the red-haired pirate ship, no one could calm down, and anger flashed in their eyes instantly. Teach. The hateful bastard Teach is also on this ship. 036. Blackbeard's dangerous devil fruit ability open black lens bracket 1/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Why? That nasty bastard Teach is on board with the redhead. The bastard who betrayed Dad. Teach. The two ships approached, and the familiar figure on them made the Whitebeard Pirates look angry. On Red Force. On the boat, did we come at the wrong time? Feeling the tense atmosphere coming towards him, Usopp scratched his head and looked at the red hair. The redhead didn't speak, and came to the Moby Dick, ordering someone to bring the bundled Blackbeard. Facing the Whitebeard Pirates, he said, I didn't come here today to fight you. I know you hate Blackbeard, but I still hope you can give me face and listen to my words before making a decision. What is there to say? Teach is betraying Daddy bastard, this guy must die. Red hair, you must have other purposes. It was the third captain, Diamond Jazzy, who spoke in a deep voice in front of the red hair, and the other members of the Whitebeard Pirates did the same. If it was pure red hair pirates, they would definitely not have any obstacles, but since they brought Teach, there must be nothing to talk about. Whitebeard, what do you think? Seeing the tense atmosphere, the red hair turned to look at Whitebeard on the deck of the Moby Dick. The red hair noticed Bai Ye beside him, and couldn't help but glance sideways, but soon returned his gaze to Whitebeard. Advertisement. He knew that the entire Whitebeard pirate group could only work if Whitebeard spoke. Otherwise, I am afraid that a fight will be inevitable. Father, let's do it. Teach that bastard is a traitor to our Whitebeard regiment. This traitor must be executed by us. The Whitebeard Pirates looked at Whitebeard. Whitebeard's face was sullen, and after a while, he slowly raised his face that seemed to be under the shadow, staring at the red hair and said, Red-haired boy, come here. But if the old man listens to you and you still want to stop the old man, you should understand what it means. Of course I understand that. The redhead nods. Father. The Whitebeard Pirates tensed up. But looking at the anger that was not weaker than theirs, they knew that his father must have some plans, and they gritted their teeth to make way for the red-haired party on the Moby Dick, leading to Whitebeard and Bai also where. The redhead looked at Usopp and the others. Let's go, and Teach. Damn redhead. Lousy will never let you go even if he dies. The tied Blackbeard couldn't help roaring, but when Usopp and others grabbed him, Blackbeard naturally couldn't resist. Soon, Redhead ordered Usopp and others to stay aside, and Redhead came to Whitebeard. Thanks, Whitebeard. You're welcome, red-haired brat, the old man told you that if you don't have a reason, you should know what it means. Please don't worry. The redhead nodded, looked at Bai Ye and said, before that, I want to apologize for my mistake. Advertisement. The redhead didn't come to see Whitebeard very often, but he definitely knew of Bai Ye's existence. However, Redhead had regarded Bai Ye as an ordinary person before, but after this summit war, Redhead naturally knew the terrifying power of the man in front of him that could shake the world. After saying hello, the red hair began to slowly explain his purpose for coming here. The reason why he didn't kill Blackbeard directly was because of the devil fruit that Blackbeard possessed. This is the only Logia that cannot be elementalized, and the worst of all devil fruits. Its name is Logia Dark Fruit. Possesses the power to neutralize all devil fruits almost invincibly. Dark Fruit. I see, but the red-haired brat, do you think that if you tell that teach guy's devil fruit ability, the old man will spare his life? Whitebeard glanced at everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates, who was shocked by the ability of Blackbeard devil fruit, and looked at the red-haired. The red-haired face was a bit dignified, and he whispered, if I said that this devil fruit has a truly unknown power. What do you mean? Whitebeard asked. The red hair said slowly, because this hateful devil fruit cannot be elementalized, so with this ability, the true face of this devil fruit is actually able to devour other devil fruit abilities. After saying that, the red hair took a deep look at Bai Ye. At this moment, Usopp, who was following the red hair and the others, also showed a dignified face, while the Whitebeard Pirates showed a shock that could not be calm for a long time. Can devour other devil fruit abilities. Devil fruit. The Whitebeard Pirates are not fools. Blackbeard uses Ace to lure Dad and Marine to start Summit War. This bastard sneaks into Impel Down to recruit the most vicious criminals, and then appears when Summit War is almost over. In an instant, almost everyone's pupils were shocked when they thought of the purpose of Teach. Teach, this bastard's ambition is so terrifying. Thief, ha ha ha. I was discovered by you, red hair. You hateful bastard. Kill Lousy if you can. Once Lousy dies, this devil fruit will be reborn. If it falls into the hands of the world government, it will definitely would it be interesting. Thief, ha ha ha. Advertisement. Seeing the Whitebeard Pirates shocked by his ambition, Blackbeard couldn't help laughing. Damn Teach. Not only betrayed my father, but also tried to take away my father's ability. This bastard. The members of the Whitebeard Pirates showed extremely angry eyes. Seeing Whitebeard's downcast face, the redhead said, Whitebeard, I think you should understand why I didn't kill him directly. Teach's devil fruit ability is too. So, what does Teach's devil fruit ability have to do with the old man wanting to kill this traitor? At this moment, Whitebeard suddenly interrupted the redhead. The redhead raised his head and saw that half of Whitebeard's face was covered by shadows. The redhead felt the invisible oppressive force on Whitebeard's body, and his face became dignified. Whitebeard, this guy is serious. The red-haired heart sank, and immediately he continued. At first, I didn't think I should bring him to see you, but, after I knew that he has multiple devil fruit abilities, I had other ideas. The red-haired finished speaking, and looked at Bai Ye. Marco and the others were taken aback for a moment. Immediately, Marco and others instantly understood what the red hair was up to. But since devil fruit's ability is so dangerous, then only one person needs to swallow it and inherit this devil fruit ability. Redhead. Hey, you damn bastard can't be serious, are you? Damn it. Blackbeard was also taken aback for a moment, and after understanding what the redhead thought, Blackbeard couldn't help but roar stand up. 10%. 037. Not capable. The shock of the red-haired people, 2/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets, 3,000 words. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. It was also Blackbeard's fault for roaring. When he learned that Bai Ye possessed multiple demon fruit powers on the red-haired boat, Blackbeard was shocked. In this world, except for those who can have two kinds of devil fruit without eating dark fruit. Although Blackbeard doesn't know what means Bai Ye used to have two devil fruit abilities. But make no mistake, this guy is a danger to him. Danger. Extremely dangerous demon. Thinking of the redhead's plan, drops of cold sweat rolled down Blackbeard's forehead. Because he knew that the redhead didn't dare to kill him rashly because the dark fruit ability was still in his body, but if the dark fruit ability could be taken by another person. Blackbeard glanced around at the angry Whitebeard Pirates, his fate must be doomed. Blackbeard's legs couldn't help trembling slightly, and he lost the biggest trump card to save his life. Even Blackbeard couldn't calm down anymore. The cold sweat dripping from his forehead to the deck already proved the fear in Blackbeard's heart. But at this moment, Bai Ye looked at the redhead and said suddenly, first of all, I want to declare one thing, even if I can take away his devil fruit ability, aren't you afraid that I will become stronger? When the red hair heard this, Usopp and the others could not help swallowing a mouthful of saliva when they thought of Bai Ye's terrifying combat power. That's right, this man is definitely not weaker than their captain's dangerous existence, if he gets Blackbeard's worst devil fruit ability. Then what kind of person in this world is this man's opponent? I'm afraid this matter is even more dangerous than falling into the hands of the world government. In case this man stood on the opposite side of the red hair pirates one day, Usopp's face became serious. Too dangerous. There was a trace of solemnity on the red-haired face, as if after thinking, he said. I've seen you a few times when I've been here before, plus if it wasn't for Summit War, you probably wouldn't even make a move, from this point. I'm sure you're not a brutal guy like Kaido or Charlotte Linlin. Even if you master this devil fruit ability, it's definitely better than falling into the hands of the world government or someone like Teach. So that's the reason. Bai Ye nodded. Gu la la la, Bai Ye boy, since the red-haired kid said so. Although I don't know how you acquired multiple devil fruit abilities, but, this devil fruit ability is indeed a good choice if you put it on you. Whitebeard pondered for a while, and then said. Since the redhead wants to give his best friend the ability of devil fruit, Whitebeard is naturally willing. Advertisement. He believes that things like friends will not change just because devil fruit's ability is the worst. No matter how powerful devil fruit is. Don't forget, it is people who ultimately determine the use of abilities. And, Whitebeard glanced at Blackbeard. Blackbeard saw that he had already fallen on the deck because of fear at this time, his pupils were wide open, this guy was already scared. Damn, you guys are crazy. Redhead. Lousy won't let you go even if he's a ghost. The redhead didn't bother to pay attention to Blackbeard, turned his head while everyone in the Usopp and Whitebeard Pirates swallowed a mouthful of saliva, looked at Bai Ye, and said in a deep voice. In that case, have you decided yet? After the words fell, whether it was the red-haired subordinate Usopp and others, or everyone in the Whitebeard Pirates, the atmosphere became quiet, and so did the breathing. Everyone looked at Bai Ye. They all knew now that if Bai Ye had the ability to capture devil fruit, then the strength of the man in front of him would definitely become stronger. Even, surpassed the old man when he was young. Time passed by every minute and every second, and the atmosphere slowly began to become dignified. Blackbeard became incontinent because of the inner fear. But at this moment, Bai Ye got up and stood on the deck, facing the group of red hair and Whitebeard, but suddenly said a fact that made everyone's pupils widen. I advise you not to look at me like this, I never seem to say that I am demon fruit power. After the words fell, all the dignified atmosphere suddenly froze, and then it was visible to the naked eye that no matter whether it was Whitebeard, or the red hair and others, they were collectively stunned. Afterwards, these people recalled Bai Ye's faint words, the boss with dilated pupils, and their hearts fell into shock. No, demon fruit power. What? You said you are not demon fruit power. What? Advertisement. Redhead and the others reacted, and the Whitebeard Pirates burst into collective exclamation. In their opinion, Bai Ye's strength is no less than that of his father, plus those terrifying abilities. But now Bai Ye actually said that he is not demon fruit power. Hey, he's not kidding, is he? By the way, the wine Usopp just took a sip couldn't help but spit out, his face was full of shock. The red hair came back to his senses, his eyes were also full of disbelief, and he said, what you said, is it true? The redhead looked at Whitebeard unconsciously. He thought that Whitebeard and Bai Ye had known each other for so many years, so he might know what was going on, but Whitebeard's eyes flashed at this moment, with the same surprised light as his, looking at Bai Ye. Seeing the collective gazes of these four Emperor's pirate ships. Bai Ye said helplessly to Whitebeard, I seem to have told you that you think these abilities are demon fruit power, right? Whitebeard nodded. The red hair couldn't help but said, then your ability. No wonder redheads are shocked. In a short time, the red hair thought of more aspects. If Bai Ye is not demon fruit power, although it disrupted his plan at once. But Shanks looked at the casual man in front of him, but his pupils were full of horror. It's not demon fruit power. If what the other party said is true. In other words, the opponent is not afraid of the weakness of the sea, the natural enemy of all ability users. This kind of people, the red hair immediately thought of the man in front of him. I am afraid that the threat to his own existence is far more terrifying than all the forces expected, and it is also hidden deeper. Such a monster. Even though the redhead already exclaimed that Bai Ye is a monster, at this moment, she still couldn't help but feel the horror and deep shock in her heart. It is conceivable that no matter how powerful a monster is, at least it has weaknesses to target. Advertisement. However, a powerful enough to be hailed as the new Sea Emperor of the new era is also a monster without any weaknesses. Absolute. Enough to make any force's scalp tingle. Even if this monster does not yet belong to its own real power, that is the case. At this time, when everyone was in shock, Blackbeard, who thought he was going to die, narrowed his pupils suddenly, and couldn't help laughing almost crazily. Bana, it's not a power user. No, it's not demon fruit power. This monster is not a power user. Thief ha 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 ha. Those idiots from the world government and the marine government. They let such a guy who is infinitely more dangerous than lousy not be targeted. Just let it go. Then when this monster has its own power, those bastards in the world government will definitely regret it. Thief ha ha ha. Thieves ha ha ha. Damn Teach. What are you laughing at? Blackbeard's laughter broke the shocking atmosphere here. Diamond Joe's and the others were extremely shocked, but when they saw Blackbeard's crazy smile, they couldn't help showing anger on their faces. Blackbeard raised his head, but stared at the red hair, and said with a ferocious smile, Red hair. Did you hear that? That monster is not a power user. He is not a power user. That means you can't kill Lousy easily. You can't kill Lousy. Thief, ha ha ha. Damn. Hearing Blackbeard's wild laughter, Usopp and others realized this new problem, and their faces suddenly became serious. Really? If Bai Ye is not demon fruit power, then naturally he cannot capture Blackbeard's devil fruit ability. Their captain's plans were about to come to naught. Then Blackbeard naturally. Here comes Usopp et al. At this moment, Bai Ye's voice suddenly made Blackbeard's expression froze. So, I'm not demon fruit power, does this have something to do with killing you? After the words fell, Blackbeard's pupils widened suddenly, and he slowly raised his head. When Blackbeard saw the eyes that made people fall into the ice cave, the cold sweat oozed from Blackbeard's forehead instantly. That look. This guy is serious. 11%. 038. Swords are on the verge of breaking out. Bai Ye and Hongfa 1v1 fight. 3/5 ask for evaluation tickets for flowers. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. You can't kill Lousy. You can't kill Lousy. Once Lousy is dead, Dark Fruit will be reborn. You must not want to see the power of this devil fruit fall into the world government. Or fall into other people's hands, right? Redhead. Redhead. You nasty bastard. Speak for Lousy. Feeling the pressure from the air, Blackbeard roared like falling into an ice cave. Captain. Usopp looked at the redhead. The redhead hesitated for a moment, and finally, he took a step forward and chose to stand in front of Bai Ye. Since the plan has changed, I can't let you kill him directly. The dignified voice sounded. Almost at this moment, the faces of Marco and others changed, and they were ready to fight in an instant. Blackbeard teach, today is to die here no matter what. But what the redhead did at this time undoubtedly represented this negotiation. Rupture. It seems that the negotiation over there has broken down, and we still have to fight. On Red Force, Laji Lu and others, who were biting a big cock, saw Shanks move and immediately got ready to fight. Beckman stared at the redhead on the Moby Dick and sighed. If the talks break down, this is a battle destined to be extremely difficult to win. This conclusion is based on the fact that everything stems from the man next to Whitebeard. Advertisement. And don't forget, they're now on Whitebeard's turf, and a breakdown in negotiations isn't going to be a good outcome for their side. Red-haired boy, it seems that you have decided to stop the old man. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard saw the red hair blocking Blackbeard, his whole face suddenly sank, and a terrifying aura emanated from Whitebeard. Attempt to kill the family, betray the Whitebeard Pirates, hand over the family to Marine, choose to become one of the 7 warlords of the sea, etc. No matter what crime Blackbeard committed, any one of them is absolutely taboo in the Whitebeard Pirates. If the red hair is ready to stand on the opposite side of the Whitebeard Pirates, Whitebeard doesn't mind starting a battle with the red hair pirates at all. Sorry, Whitebeard. The red hair didn't say it clearly, but the aura that erupted from his body already proved his choice. For a moment, the atmosphere on both sides instantly became tense again. The crews of both sides have already drawn out their weapons, preparing for the battle. For the Whitebeard Pirates, there is room for negotiation no matter what. But, teach, absolutely not. Newgate, leave it to me about Blackbeard. At this time, under the tense atmosphere, Bai Ye saw that the negotiation broke down, and knew that if it continued, the two sides would inevitably have a big battle. Considering Whitebeard's current physical recovery and the fact that the entire pirate group has experienced a summit war, Bai Ye decided to intervene. At this moment, red-haired Shank's nerves immediately tensed up. Advertisement. If the man in front of him intervenes, it will definitely be the worst start the redhead can think of. This man possessed the strength that was not lost to Whitebeard at all. Leave it to you, okay, but this guy teach must let the old man solve it himself. Whitebeard stared at the red hair, glanced at Bai Ye who walked into the center of the momentum of both sides. Whitebeard said in silence for a while. This is the case among friends. Whitebeard chose to believe in Bai Ye without asking too much. Seeing that Whitebeard withdrew his aura, the red-haired Shanks also withdrew his aura. Immediately, when the red hair saw Bai Ye approaching, a serious expression appeared on his face. However, Bai Ye just said a very simple sentence. Since this is destined to be an unavoidable battle, let us fight. If you win, Blackbeard will be given to you. If you lose, Blackbeard will be kept. This request should be the greatest tolerance for you. After Bai Ye finished speaking, he looked at the griffin, the saber that Roger suspected was used by the red-haired waste. Since the battle with Garp 3 months ago, he has felt the joy of the collision between the strong. And Bai Ye is actually quite interested in the real strength of the red hair. According to his previous time travel, many people speculated that the strength of red hair is higher than that of Kaido and Charlotte Linlin. Although I don't know if it is true, Bai Ye can probably guess it in a fight here. It can be regarded as planning to have a fight with the red hair before the trip, but he doesn't mind at all. Captain. Usopp hesitated to speak. The red-haired Shanks didn't speak, but looked up and looked around at the two pirate groups who were ready to fight at any time. Advertisement. Immediately, he refocused his eyes on Bai Ye standing under the blue sky, and slowly drew out the saber, griffin from his waist. If the solution to this dispute can end with a fight with you, I accept the fight. After Shanks finished speaking, Whether it was the Whitebeard Pirates or the Red Hair Pirates, they all froze for a moment, and then showed a look of strong anticipation. The Red Hair Pirates are expecting Shanks to play again, and it will be one-on-one. In a one-on-one situation, the situation is not friendly to them. Red Hair Pirates naturally know that this is the best result, and they also have great confidence in Shanks' strength. Although the other party is the strongest demon in the new era in the Summit War rumors, in any case, their captain is also one of the 4 emperors with the same status as Whitebeard. For the Whitebeard Pirates, they don't need any reason at all for this 1v1 battle. Dad chooses to believe in Bai Ye, so naturally they will too. Moreover, they have seen the Summit War scene in person, and it is not inferior to almost the terrifying strength of Dad when he was young. That's it. This pirate battle feud became a 1v1 battle between Red Hair and Bai Ye. The two sides came to an island that did not affect the crew, and Bai Ye slowly told the truth among pirates. Only the strong can decide everything in this world, and the weak can only wait to be chosen. Although Bai Ye is low-key, he is very clear about this truth. 11%. 039. The first fight, 4/5 asking for flower evaluation tickets. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard Sea. A ferocious beast is constantly escaping from the forest here on the island. 2 large pirate ships are docking at the edge of this island. If any New World pirates saw the logos of these 2 pirate ships, they would definitely be shocked enough to be dumbfounded. Whitebeard Pirates, Red Hair Pirates. 2 pirate groups known as the New World 4 Emperors have long been famous and are leaning on this insignificant island. Hey, those beasts are running away, they must have sensed our captain's strength. After all, that's Shanks. Our captain will never lose to that kid in 1v1. That's right, our captain is the strongest. On Red Force, Lackey Lou and others stood on the deck, staring at the 2 people on the island not far away, showing excitement. It would definitely be a good thing if the feud could be settled without fighting the Whitebeard Pirates. Moreover, they couldn't be more aware of Shanks' strength. Even if the opponent is very strong enough to be hailed as the strongest demon in the new era, the new Emperor of the Sea, if they have not seen the attack with their own eyes, they are naturally willing to believe in the strength of their captain. The strong can decide everything in this world, the weak can only wait to be chosen. Shanks, you may have underestimated an incredible man. On the edge of the Red Force, only Beckman recalled Bai Ye's words just now. Regarding this 1v1 battle, Beckman's eyes flickered with seriousness, and he watched the 2 people on the island. Although the 2 of them didn't do anything, the ferocious beasts on the entire island began to escape from the forest, which already showed the appearance of incredible monsters. Because of the extremely harsh environment and weather in New World, ferocious beasts have lived in this environment for a long time. Their perception of monsters is far more sensitive than humans. There are even some smart beasts who have learned hockey, and it is conceivable that these beasts can escape. Now the strength of the 2 people on the island is so terrifying. Moby Dick aboard. Father. Advertisement. Don't worry, Bai Ye will never let you down. Whitebeard interrupts Marco, engrossed in the fight. At this moment, Whitebeard looked at the 2 approaching men, as if sensing something, he said slowly, their duel has already begun. It's started. Marco and Wable, who didn't know when came over, were taken aback. Immediately, the moment Whitebeard's voice fell, a terrifying scene appeared. 2 invisible terrifying auras suddenly erupted separately, although it was only a faint illusion for a moment. But it gives people a feeling that the entire island is divided into 2 halves by these 2 terrifying auras. The terrible oppressive force is between the 2 men who are constantly confronting each other, and the air is visible to the naked eye and begins to become distorted in front of the terrifying momentum. Seeing this scene, the ordinary members of the 2 pirate groups suddenly came to their senses. It turned out that the battle had already began the moment they landed. No wonder those beasts chose to flee the island like frightened rabbits. At this time, on the island, Shanks took the lead. As a great swordsman, distance is an absolute advantage for Shanks. Shanks also understands this very well. Griffin, one of the 12 workers of the Supreme Sword, is held in the palm of his hand with one arm. In the next second, the ground under Shanks' feet suddenly cracked. Swinging his arm forward, a black and red terrifying slash suddenly flew towards Bai Ye like a crescent moon soaring into the sky. Is this the slash that entangles hockey? Facing Shanks' slash, Bai Ye looked at the force that the ground in front of Shanks was being slashed at the same time, and a trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. But it was only a moment of surprise. With Shanks' ability to become 4 emperors, hockey's winding and slashing can be done with ease, which is also very normal. Advertisement. And judging from the strength of the armed colors above, Bai Ye guessed that Shanks would probably also have Wano Kuni's unique high-level hockey. Also good. Otherwise, this battle, it wouldn't be very interesting. Staring at the black and red slash flying in front of him tearing apart the ground. Thunder light began to emerge from Bai Ye's body, the dragon-slaying magic of thunder. A golden lightning spear formed in his hand at the same time. Afterwards, Bai Ye aimed at Shanks' slash and threw it directly. The penetrating power and speed of the Thunder Dragon Slayer magic are undoubtedly top-notch. From the perspective of the spectators, the thunder spear flying out of Bai Ye's hand is like a flash of light. Afterwards, the ground under Bai Ye's feet suddenly collapsed with a bang, because of the thunder spear. Countless gravels were lifted from both sides. The sound actually sounded after Thunder Spear. Immediately afterwards, Thunder's Dragon Slayer magic and Shanks' slash met. The two collide. The next moment, with a sound of boom, a terrible explosion rang out, followed by a terrifying aftermath that almost instantly overwhelmed the dust and smoke. When the aftermath of the faint shaking of the island dissipated, a terrifying scene appeared. Bai Ye and Shanks are still in place. But starting with these two people as the center, the surrounding forest has been almost broken in half by the terrifying wind pressure. The pirate ship staying on the edge of the island looked from a distance, as if the surroundings of the two had become flat land. You know, this is only the first time to fight. Seeing this scene, both the Whitebeard Pirates and ordinary members of the Red Hair Pirates were shocked. Monster. The strength of those two men on the island not far away is really terrifying. Advertisement. If they were to face an attack from either side. Almost immediately, the ordinary members of the pirate groups on both sides felt their scalps tingling. This is the collision between the world's top powerhouses. They didn't even have the courage to take any of the attacks in a tentative confrontation. Avoid God. The red-haired kid used Roger's move as soon as he came up. It seems that the red-haired kid is going to use all his strength. Here on the Moby Dick, Whitebeard murmured and stopped talking. Because he knew that since the tentative attacks of the two above had passed, the real battle was about to begin. On the island, countless surrounding forests were broken down the middle and collided with the center here. The red-haired Shanks felt Griffin, who was trembling with joy when he touched his opponent, and said slowly, "You are really a guy who is too strong to be human. Although it is the first time to fight, my partner has already felt the joy of meeting a strong person." After finishing speaking, the red-haired Shanks looked at the expecting companions and others on Red Force, his face darkened as if he had made some kind of decision. Griffin pointed to Bai Ye, and continued. "In normal times, I think we can make good friends, but now, I have to fight for the dispute between the two pirate groups over Blackbeard, beat you here and win this victory. From now on, it's our real fight." After Shanks finished speaking, his pupils condensed slightly, and the next moment, Griffin suddenly slashed again. This time, the color of the slash Shanks released with Griffin is no longer black and red, this time it is golden red. It shows that the upper part is stronger than the slash just now. Faster. Hockey is already the power of emission. Facing Shanks, who showed his strength, Bai Ye didn't talk nonsense with Shanks. The lightning flashing on his body turned into a golden flame in an instant, and Bai Ye was bathed in it. Fire Dragon Slayer magic. Since the opponent in the battle is 4 Emperor's Redhead, Bai Ye will not hold back anything in this 1v1. 040. Bai Ye's red hair open black lens bracket 5/5 close black lens bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Bathed in golden flames all over his body, Bai Ye stretched out his arm and snapped his fingers. After the appearance of the golden flame, the aura originally released from Bai Ye's body began to climb at a speed visible to the naked eye. This oppressive force has faintly cracked the ground under his feet. Next second, the land of this island was literally cracked. Boom. With a sound, Bai Ye's figure has disappeared in place. All that is left is the sunken earth, showing the terrifying strength of the Serious One. With the magic power of Fire Dragon Slayer fully activated, Bai Ye's already monster physique climbed to a terrifying height almost instantly. However, due to the lack of proficiency in Dragon Slayer magic in the sky, Bai Ye chose the simplest way of direct combat compared to Shanks, who has the supreme sword, Griffin. That's it. Head to head. Bai Ye, who disappeared in place, suddenly appeared in front of the golden red emission slash. Afterwards, a fist with golden flames and a slash collided suddenly. There was a brief pause between the two, but the next second, a terrifying picture appeared. Shanks' slash was unexpectedly shattered by the fist with golden flames. Emission hockey is a good choice, but you should understand that this level is not enough to pose a threat to me. Feeling the tingling sensation from his fist, Bai Ye moved his wrist, and said to the red-haired Shanks lightly. Armament hockey has been cultivated to a high level. It can pass the armed color through the surface of the object and directly destroy the inside of the object. It can even be used in conjunction with hardening, winding, and external release. This is indeed a powerful force. Strength. However, don't forget one thing, his own physique is actually equivalent to a head due to the dragon-slaying magic, even surpassing the level of a real dragon. It's just that this terrifying physique is presented to other people in the form of a human being. Even with Garp's level of armed color, Bai Ye can handle it, not to mention that the red hair only attaches emission to the level of slashing. Bai Ye was still a little dissatisfied with the power displayed by the red hair, and this move was precisely to tell the other party clearly. Advertisement. Reservation of strength is an insult to this battle. In this battle, what he really wants is for the red hair to use all his strength. Otherwise, the result of this 1v1 is not something that redheads can easily decide. With Bai Ye's indifferent tone, the red-haired Shanks' complexion suddenly darkened. With this blow, Shanks naturally knew what Bai Ye meant. Although he was prepared before the 1v1, Shanks knew at this moment that he had underestimated the man in front of him. It is simply impossible to defeat the man in front of him with this kind of slash that is just ridiculous in front of the real top powerhouse. It's no wonder the summit war ended with the man in front of him, and Whitebeard almost didn't need to ask a question to trust him. Because the man in front of him does possess the strength and temperament that are enough to make anyone feel at ease. Shanks looked at the famous sword, Griffin, which was trembling slightly and more excited, with a completely different light in his eyes. He looked up and said, "I'm sorry, let's continue this battle." After Shanks finished speaking, he did not choose to release the slash. Shanks is now very clear that even though the power of slashing is terrifying, this kind of power attached to hockey is insignificant in front of the real top powerhouse. So, Shanks chose to fight head to head with Bai Ye. Just like the day Shanks chose to stop the Beast's pirates, fight Kaido. Boom, boom, boom. God avoids. Griffin, in the hands of the red-haired Shanks, began to burst into true strength as one of the 12 great swordsmen. The red-haired Shanks is the 4 emperors, and he is also a great swordsman who is famous all over the world, but it is obviously because the name of the 4 emperors is more famous, which makes people ignore this point. At this moment, after Shanks fought with all his strength, he showed Bai Ye his terrifying strength. Without this recognized impressive strength, Shanks would not be able to make people sell face everywhere. Advertisement. Thereafter. This is a battle that seems to have almost no real collision. But the aftermath that broke out on this island is almost no worse than the Summit War. The reason is that in addition to the red-haired Shanks' own strength, every sword that Griffin swung at Bai Ye, the thickness of hockey has reached an astonishingly terrifying level. That's why it happened in the eyes of outsiders, although there was no real collision between Bai Ye and the red hair. But the aftermath of the battle between the two in the distance almost made the island unbearable. Faintly, the original extinct volcanoes on the island began to show signs of erupting again under the violent shaking. The earth, the sky, and the broken forest are all trembling. Looking at the terrifying battle on the island not far away, whether it was the Whitebeard Pirates or the Red Hair Pirates, their faces gradually became serious. In this situation, anyone can see that it is simply not the strength that human beings can possess. If this battle continues like this, then this island, I am afraid it will gradually be destroyed. No wonder those beasts not only ran madly from the forest, but also from the island. In fact, those ferocious beasts felt the threat brought by the terrifying power in those two people early on. Beckman, what do you think of this battle? On Red Force, Laji Lu looked at the island not far away that was shaking violently due to the force, and he looked at Red Hair Pirates Lieutenant, Ben Beckman. Originally, Laji Lu was very confident in the strength of his captain, the red-haired Shanks. But after seeing this continual and terrifying battle, Laji Lu unconsciously let go of the big meat stick bone in his hand, and his face became serious, revealing the worry that he and others gradually showed. Beckman stared at the battle in the distance, and then saw everyone looking over. Beckman unhurriedly expressed his analysis. If this battle continues under the current situation, the islands under their feet will be destroyed for at most 2 days because they cannot bear the oppression brought by that strength. By then, I think I will lose the place where they fought. This battle it will end naturally. Beckman spoke out for his own analysis. Laji Lu and others collectively showed disbelief. Beckman will say this, and they know that Beckman must have been rigorously analyzed. Advertisement. Beckman's wit is absolutely essential before every Red Hair Pirates fight. But in this case, doesn't it mean that even if the fight continues for 2 days, the result is that the island under the feet of the two monsters is destroyed and the battle cannot continue? They were not surprised by the duration of the battle. If they were of similar strength, even for cadres like them, it would be normal for a battle to last for several days and nights, let alone those top experts whose physique and physical strength were monsters. But they couldn't accept that their captain couldn't defeat that demonic man. Even if they fought for 2 days, the result was that the island was destroyed because it couldn't bear that kind of battle. By the way, Beckman, didn't you say, continue with the current situation? Are there other possibilities? A tall man with a monkey couldn't help looking at Beckman. He was naturally one of the cadres of the Red Hair Pirates like Usopp and others, and he was also the first crew member who had followed Shanks for decades. Hearing this, Laji Lu and the others couldn't help but look at Beckman. Beckman stayed on the edge of the Red Force deck and glanced at these people. Seeing the anxious look of these people, Beckman knew that they were desperate for another result. So Beckman sighed, and slowly said an other possibility, that made everyone on Red Force dumbfounded. Another possibility is that the man got used to Shanks' strength and became stronger. Wow. After Beckman's voice fell, the people on Red Force could almost see a collective color change with the naked eye, and their expressions also became dumbfounded. The man got stronger by fighting their captain. Wouldn't it be another answer? But, is this kind of thing really possible? When the Red Hair Pirates were shocked, Beckman turned his attention back to the terrifying battle on the island not far away. In fact, there was one thing that Beckman had not said in his heart. That man is said to have at least 3 devil fruit abilities. Even if it is now known that that person is not actually a person with abilities, those three powers are not devil fruit, but are more terrifying than devil fruit, but they really exist in the body of the man who is fighting Shanks at this time. Moreover, the guy who can defeat Garp, Beckman has accepted this 1v1 since the red hair. Beckman actually knew that with Shank's character, he must have underestimated the strength of his opponent in this battle. 041. Overlord Domain. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Crashed in disarray on the island. It's hard to believe that just a short time ago this was a dangerous island in the New World, populated by wild beasts. At this time, boom, 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 Shanghong Fax held the griffin in his hand, and blocked the attack of the flickering figure in front of him, and the ground under Shank's feet immediately collapsed. Afterwards, he felt the terrifying power coming from the griffin in his hand. Shank's pupils froze slightly, and he immediately backhanded and unleashed even more terrifying swordsmanship, not to be outdone. A destructive golden red slash flew out, rumbling. The terrifying battle between the two made this already overwhelmed island like a straw that overwhelmed the last hope. The extinct volcano, which was faintly showing signs of recovery, began to erupt due to violent shaking, and a large amount of dark red lava shot up into the sky, spreading and falling to all parts of the island like a swarm of meteors with thick gunpowder. But even so, this amazing battle of the strong is also destined to not be affected in any way. 4 emperors deserves to be 4 emperors. Advertisement. Perhaps these people who stand at the top of the world mainly focus on different directions, but there is no doubt that they all have corresponding strengths in order to obtain recognized names. But the stronger the red-haired Shanks, the more joyful the battle will be for Bai Ye. This kind of intense fighting is exactly what Bai Ye wants. Moreover, if you are fighting against a swordsman-type opponent like Shanks, if the opponent is completely head-to-head like Garp, you only need to use strong strength to confront Garp. But the swordsman has reached the 4 emperors level strength of Shanks, and Bai Ye can clearly feel that something in him is slowly improving. This kind of thing is combat experience. In this world, after going through many battles, the combat experience is terrifying, but experience is a very strange thing. Because there is no way to gain combat experience by sitting still, the best way to gain experience is to fight against strong people, and fighting against different types of strong people, the combat experience will also increase rapidly. The same is true for Bai Ye at the moment. He is going to use this battle to quickly improve all possible shortcomings of himself. Bai Ye doesn't want to become a hidden danger because of the most basic things one day, and he is more and more sure of this when he fights against Shanks. In this kind of thing, Bai Ye didn't think that he was completely invincible just because of his own strength. At this moment, Shanks once again used God's avoidance. The red-haired eyes faintly flashed a red light. In the next second, the 12-handed griffin of the supreme fast knife collided with Bai Ye, and armament hockey, whose thickness reached a terrifying level, was suddenly raised to a new terrifying height. However, rather than going head-to-head, Bai Ye is completely confident that he will not lose to anyone. After this fight, Bai Ye already has a general understanding of Shanks' strength. Shanks' armament hockey has not been cultivated to the level of pure terror of Garp. After all, Garp is a monster that ended the era with a pair of iron fists. However, there is one more thing to consider here. The red-haired Shanks is a swordsman, and the difference in armed color will be narrowed to a limit due to various factors. Advertisement. For example, under the premise that Shanks uses Griffin, it is still completely enough to pose a threat to Bai Ye. It's a pity that Shanks became one-armed a long time ago, although Bai Ye doesn't think that the young Shanks with 2 arms back then would be stronger than the red-haired one now. However, having experienced this level of combat, the red-haired Shanks is undoubtedly a true genius in terms of strength, which makes people look forward to it. At this time, the red-haired Shanks used the sacred avoidance from Griffin to collide with Bai Ye fiercely. After the collision, the red-haired didn't seem to notice the violent shaking of the island under his feet. Instead, his pupils stared at Bai Ye. The red-haired looked down at the griffin in his hand, and slowly raised his head and said, "You are becoming stronger. And if my partner feels right, you still have a stronger strength that you haven't used yet. You're right. Now that you've seen the result, what should you choose?" Seeing Shanks who suddenly stopped, Bai Ye said lightly. A smile suddenly appeared on the corner of Shanks' mouth, and he said expectantly, "This fight has already come here. Of course I hope to see your true strength, and I don't want to be underestimated by young people." As he said that, a red light flashed in Shanks' pupils, and the terrifying sky-high conquerors suddenly spread out. At this moment, everything around the red-haired Shanks was being distorted in front of Conqueror's impact, which was constantly spreading. Conquerors accompanied by faint black and red lightning caused substantial damage. Seeing this scene, Bai Ye's eyes flickered with surprise. Although he knows that Conquerors is powerful to a certain limit, it can cause substantial damage to the surroundings. But at this moment, standing on the opposite side of Shanks, Bai Ye felt that he had seen the dominant domain belonging to the red-haired Shanks, and everything that stepped into it would be affected. It's no wonder that Conquerors is known as the most difficult to own, and it is said that there is only one king in a million people. Owning Conquerors means that God is destined to give you the qualifications to become the Overlord, and it is not an exaggeration to say that you are the chosen one. It is conceivable how powerful a person who can stand out from the many Overlord qualifications in this sea will be. But this kind of thing, then Conquerors is not only yours. Seeing that Shanks released the Conquerors that seemed to form the dominant domain, Bai Ye's voice fell. A terrifying aura suddenly soared into the sky. Advertisement. Everyone who felt this terrifying aura couldn't help but change their expressions. On the sea, under the invisible sea surface, there are countless schools of fish frantically moving away from this island. Animals are more sensitive to threats than humans, and the oppressive force that emanates from that island is like a dragon that can cover the light curtain of the world by spreading its wings. Just standing there, although it was only a short illusion, made the upper class of Red Force feel why Bai Ye is also known as the New Age Demon. That is a completely different oppressive force from the Overlord domain, like a demon standing at the apex of all life, indifferently sweeping over all beings. Whether it's Ben Beckman, Lackey Lu, Usopp and others, they couldn't help showing seriousness on their faces. The Whitebeard Pirates, who once again felt the oppressive power of the devil, couldn't help showing deep shock in their eyes. That is, the demon who ended the Summit War, the Emperor of the Sea destined for a new era in the future. Thereafter, under everyone's gaze, Bai Ye made a move that turned heads. It was a golden flame that quickly began to condense towards Bai Ye's arm, the scorching light continued to spread, and a terrifying aura of destruction gradually began to appear. Standing on the deck of the pirate ship on the edge of the island, they looked from a distance. At this moment, it was as if seeing the sun. Yanlong King's Purgatory. Now that the redhead took out the Overlord domain, Bai Ye also wanted to see if Shanks could withstand this blow. It's a pity. If this trick continues, the island will probably disappear. Bai Ye murmured and looked up at the figure in the distance. At this moment, Bai Ye was not moved by the fact that the island under his feet would be destroyed. What Bai Ye has now is the kind of bloody battle against the strong. And what kind of power can be produced by the Fire Dragon Slayer magic at full strength? 12%. 042. The 1v1 battle with the red hair came to an end. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Yanlong King's Purgatory. The aura of extreme terror erupted from Bai Ye's body. In the next second, a golden flame emitting destructive power suddenly blasted out along with Bai Ye, like a sea of flames rising suddenly, attacking the red-haired Shanks in an instant. This sea of destructive flames erupted like a tsunami. Even people waiting in the sea on the edge of this island could faintly feel the terrifying temperature contained in it. Seeing the destructive power, Beckman and the others couldn't help but change their expressions again. This kind of power, if it is at their distance, I am afraid it will inevitably be involved. Beckman believed that he alone would be able to withstand it, but the rest of the Red Hair Pirates definitely couldn't guarantee it. At this moment, the sound of caw, space cracking suddenly sounded. Beckman turned to look aboard the Moby Dick. Sure enough, it was Whitebeard who made the move. A white halo appeared in Whitebeard's hand along with the shock fruit ability. Looking at the golden flames emitting destructive power on the island, Whitebeard used the shock fruit ability to change the entire sea surrounding the island. Make it a tsunami. The purpose is to prevent that force from reaching this side. Bai Ye boy, you really made a fuss again. On the Moby Dick, Whitebeard stared at the flames that shot up into the sky not far away, and Beckman's voice came from the red force. Thanks, Whitebeard. It's nothing. The old man just wants to prevent those two from affecting the old man's sons, and just help you by the way. Instead of thanking the old man, you should care about the red-haired brat. Whitebeard glanced at Beckman and the others on the red force, and stared at the island wrapped by the tsunami at this time. Advertisement. The sea of flames soaring into the sky lasted for dozens of seconds, and Whitebeard finally lowered the rising tsunami when he finally stopped. Thereafter, this was the scene that silenced everyone. I saw that the entire island not far away at this time has been torn apart, and all the sea of flames passing by is reduced to ashes. From a distance, it is purgatory. The entire fragmented island has been almost razed to the ground, and there are rocks melted by high temperature everywhere. Deep cracks appear from all parts of the island, densely packed, and the entire island is now completely like a broken mirror on the sea, which is unbearable. That overwhelming destructive force thus stepped into destruction early. This is like a scene of purgatory, which just shows how terrifying the flames released by Bai Ye just now are. Look at the two people who were on the land full of barbarians at this time. Bai Ye was still in the state of bathing in the flames, but the activity of the flames was obviously much weaker than before. As for the red hair, most of the clothes on the red hair were turned into ashes, and there were many burns on the arm holding Griffin. The way the red hair was panting, it represented that the red hair faced the destructive force and used a more powerful sword technique to stop it at the last moment. But even so, the condition of the red hair is obviously not as good as before, and it is obvious that there has been a great consumption in order to resist the destructive power. Looking at the two people who have already fought to such an extent, but still have the fighting power. The Whitebeard Pirates and the Red Hair Pirates fell silent at the same time. Both of these guys are horrible. The collision of the top powerhouses in the world has made many people realize how fragile things like dreams are. Although countless people in the New World aim at the four emperors, only when they actually see this kind of serious battle between sea emperors, will they realize that they don't even have the courage to challenge. One can imagine how such a thing is fragile and ridiculous truth. Destroy the island. What a monster that is too strong to be human. Advertisement. Shanks panted, staring at Bai Ye, couldn't help sighing again. Then, Shanks felt Griffin's trembling, and the corner of Shanks' mouth curved up. But it was just like this that he was a strong man who had made him feel excited about fighting for a long time. Shanks felt the joy of Griffin, and was preparing to continue the fight amidst the dismay of everyone. At this moment, a voice suddenly interrupted the atmosphere here. The source of the sound is Ace. Ace actually saw the red-haired ship early in the morning, but because of Blackbeard's relationship. One is the most respected old man, and the other is the red hair who guides him and Luffy to become pirates. Facing the tense atmosphere, Ace didn't know how the two would choose for a while. But at this time, Ace knew that if he didn't interrupt this 1v1 battle, the consequences would definitely be beyond anyone else's imagination. Yo, it's Ace, it's been a long time. The redhead heard the greeting from the Moby Dick in the distance, and glanced at the terrifying Bai Ye. Immediately, Shanks hesitated, put down the griffin slowly, and turned to greet Ace. After saying hello, the redhead looked at Bai Ye, and said with a smile, "It seems that we can't go on with this battle, and there are guys who care about us on the two pirate groups, if there is a chance in the future. Let's fight to the fullest." After finishing speaking, the red hair added, "By the way, let's stop this battle. Although I don't want to admit it, if it continues, with your growth rate, I'm afraid I may not necessarily win you." After finishing speaking, the redhead took a bottle of rum from Ace and threw it to Bai Ye. Seeing the red hair throwing a bottle of wine, Bai Ye put away the flames on his body and caught the wine firmly. He and Hongfa didn't have a life and death enmity. Since Hongfa chose to end the 1v1, although Bai Ye felt a bit pity, he didn't mind. For the smile cast by the red hair, Bai Ye is not surprised at all. Most of the powerhouses in this world are like this. One second they can be jealous, and the next second they might be sitting together drinking. The biggest example is Garp and Roger, two old enemies, or even a murderous pirate like Golden Lion can sit down and drink with Whitebeard. Advertisement. Because their strength has reached their level, there are really few such things as friends. And, since the red hair decided to end this 1v1, it naturally meant that the red hair gave up on keeping Blackbeard. Blackbeard's devil fruit ability is indeed a huge nuisance. But, if it is the man in front of him. A thought suddenly came into the red-haired mind, perhaps one day, this man in front of him will bring unprecedented history to the world. Shanks. Your injuries. On the Moby Dick, Usopp saw the burns on Shanks' body and hurried forward. Shanks opened a bottle of rum and said with a nonchalant smile, "Don't worry, these injuries only look serious. Don't forget, the guy Kaido was injured much more seriously than me last time, so it's not the same that he is still alive and well after a few days." Quote. Usopp. Although he really wanted to say that Kaido has the ability of devil fruit, you are not a person with ability, but seeing Shanks see Ace is a bit nostalgic, so Usopp had to call the ship doctor from Red Hair Pirates to help Shanks treat him. Similarly, the first time Bai Ye came back here, Marco, as the first captain and also the ship's doctor, also checked Bai Ye quickly. However, the situation was completely contrary to Usopp's worries. Marco found that Bai Ye had injuries caused by the red-haired griffin on his body, but these injuries, had begun to heal themselves. Even checking inside and out, Marco couldn't help but marvel at the terrifying physique that Bai Ye possessed. The resilience of this speed is almost comparable to Zone Demon Fruit power. Then, while Marco was amazed, Bai Ye began to look at a bound and terrified figure on the Moby Dick. Now that this 1v1 battle has come to an end. Then the fate of Blackbeard has been concluded. 12%. 043. News from the Golden Lion Open Black Lens Bracket seeking flower evaluation tickets close Black Lens Bracket. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Whitebeard, he leaves it to you. Glancing at the terrified Blackbeard, Bai Ye then looked at Whitebeard. For an enemy that was killed once and is still alive, Bai Ye will generally not strike a second time. And with Blackbeard's crimes committed in the pirate group Pirates. In Bai Ye's view, it is undoubtedly the best result to hand it over to Whitebeard, a friend. Thereafter, Blackbeard's fate has been handed down for judgment. The red-haired Shanks reminisces with Ace and others, and naturally they talk about East Blue and past deeds. Then, it was the red-haired Shanks who heard about Bai Ye's plan and approached Bai Ye again. If you plan to witness the world, I suggest you start with East Blue or West Blue. East Blue is the hometown of my former captain and Ace. I used to go there and it is a very good place. As for West Blue, you should have heard Whitebeard mention it. My hometown is West Blue. Although it is also a good place, the situation there is more complicated. With your personality, I think it is also a place worth visiting. Shanks sat down with a glass of fine wine and spoke. Advertisement. This familiar look, coupled with the appearance of Shanks who just appeared on the stage, if it wasn't for the fight, Bai Ye would be sure that this is red hair, and it is estimated that there may be an illusion that it is someone else for a moment. At this moment, Whitebeard stepped over and said, Red-haired brat, no matter whether you have any suggestions or not, wherever Bai Ye goes is the freedom of the pirates, and this is not something you and I can control. After the words fell, Whitebeard paused for a moment, and continued, but Bai Ye, if you plan to go to East Blue, you can pay homage to that bastard Roger on behalf of the old man. In addition, if it is East Blue, I think you may be able to meet that bastard Shiki. Shiki, so that guy is still alive. Shanks just wanted to tease Whitebeard, you are not the same, but when he heard the familiar name Shiki, his face changed slightly. Since the Rocks era, many monsters have been born in the Chaotic era, such as World Destroyer Burndy World, Silver Axe, the Pillar of the Eight Treasure Navy Green Pepper, Kaido and Charlotte Linlin who are now the Four Emperors and others. However, in such a chaotic era, only 3 recognized legendary pirates were born. Among them are One Piece, Gall D. Roger who started the era of One Piece, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate, and the Golden Lion, flying pirate Shiki who has the ambition of being like a lion and roaring across the world. These 3 are collectively known as the 3 legendary pirates. It is a name that almost the whole world, even children in the New World, are scared to cry when they mention it. It can be seen that the prestige of these 3 people was enough to shock the world in that era. Even Shanks was just an intern on Roger's ship back then. So I didn't expect that after so many years, the redhead would hear the name, Golden Lion, again, and it was still from Whitebeard. Are you sure about the news? Bai Ye suddenly became interested when he heard what Whitebeard said. According to his memory, Golden Lion seems to have been defeated by Luffy before the Summit War. Of course, the theatrical version of the Halo buff understands everything. Advertisement. And even if the Golden Lion capsizes in the sewer, judging from the fight between Garp and the Red Hair, Bai Ye doesn't think that the Golden Lion will die so easily with the physiques of these monsters standing at the top of the world. At least, the fact that Golden Lion's devil fruit hasn't respawned in this world is enough proof that Golden Lion should still be alive. Whitebeard nodded and said, 22 years ago, when that guy Golden Lion successfully escaped from prison, he came to see me. At that time, Bai Ye boy, you hadn't boarded the boat yet, but judging by the guy's obsession with Roger, it should be in the East Blue. In fact, before the Summit War started, I took over that guy's phone bug, that guy must have been hit by something recently, ha ha ha. Speaking of this, Whitebeard couldn't help laughing thinking that Shiki had never had a downcast tone from the phone bug. When Bai Ye heard this, Bai Ye probably knew what was going on. It seems that Golden Lion is definitely still alive right now, but because of Golden Lion's extremely proud head and ambition, Golden Lion can never mention the fact that he was defeated by a pirate with a reward of only tens of millions. What's more, this tens of millions of pirates who have just debuted as the grandson of Garp, which makes Golden Lion suffer even more. But since Golden Lion is in East Blue, this place is indeed a good choice. But a trip to East Blue, where the Golden Lion can't be the main purpose. After all, Bai Ye intends to leave New World for a while, and the main real purpose is to improve the Sky Dragon Slayer magic. Once you have mastered the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky, Bai Ye has no doubts at all that his strength will rise to a new height. At that time, the overwhelming destructive power of the Fire Dragon Slayer magic, the speed and penetrating power of the Thunder Dragon Slayer magic, the Poison Dragon Slayer magic is immune to all poisons and even the power to control devouring, plus the auxiliary type comes from the power of the Sky Dragon Slayer magic. At that time, let Kaido, a fake bug, change the title of the strongest creature in the world of sea, land and air. Advertisement. Of course, the biggest root cause during this period is that people like Marco have too many problems. Due to Whitebeard's status in the hearts of Marco and others, it is naturally impossible for Marco and his party to improve their strength to find Whitebeard. Coupled with the fact that Ace is getting stronger every day at a speed visible to the naked eye, it is no wonder that this group of people's obsession with Bai Ye has become deeper and deeper. If it weren't for Bai Ye who wasn't a master of swordsmanship, great swordsman like, foil sword, Beasta would have come running over. It is conceivable how horrible it is. Shiki oh. The red hair thought of the Golden Lion back then, of course he knew why the Golden Lion would be captured by Marine after Captain Roger died. He thought that a generation of heroes like Golden Lion would die in Impel Down, but Shiki had already escaped. 2 years after he was sentenced that year, Shanks was forming the Red Hair Pirates at the time, and if Whitebeard hadn't brought it up 22 years later, he really wouldn't have known about it. After all, Impel Down is a prison that is said to be impossible to be escaped from. If Summit War hadn't exposed it, I'm afraid the world government would have chosen to cover up the fact that Blackbeard was making a fuss this time. As an impossible prison to escape, it is also connected to Enies lobby. If there are pirates, they can successfully escape from the prison. It is conceivable that this incident is no less than a direct slap in the face of the world government. With the style of the world government, it is obviously impossible for this kind of news to appear in the world. 044. Gifts from the Sky and Air. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... Those guys from the world government, don't they always behave like this? When mentioning world government, Whitebeard showed a touch of disdain. In the past 800 years since the establishment of the world government, those guys above have done many unsightly things in order to maintain the rule. Not to mention controlling the news, Whitebeard will not be surprised if one day the world government openly deceives the whole world. After all, it wasn't the first time those guys had done this kind of thing. The redhead nodded, agreeing with Whitebeard's statement. At this time, the redhead thought of Impel down, hesitated and said, "By the way, Whitebeard, I think it is necessary to remind you of a sentence. According to the news of our pirate team, because of Teach, there are many troublesome guys from Impel down. It is hard to say that those guys will not come to trouble you. It is estimated that the world government can temporarily let it go here, and it should also have something to do with these troublesome guys." The redhead said finally, looking at Bai Ye again. Demons that ended the Summit War. The Sea Emperor destined for the new era. Plus the blatant killing of celestial dragons. Defeat marine hero Garp. After the Summit War, the bounty is as high as the terrifying 2.4 billion Baileys that countless pirates look up to. Each of these experiences is enough to shock the world. The meaning of red hair is very simple. Advertisement. Although the world government has not made any movement recently, it is absolutely impossible to let such a huge threat go. In addition, the world government is openly carrying out the world's large conscription plan. Once the world government uses this big conscription to reorganize the marine, the world government will definitely choose to be the first to attack Bai Ye. And the guy who ran out from the 6th floor of Impel Down couldn't be that honest. Most of these guys are vicious and vicious existences in the old days. They used to have almost everything in the world: fame, power, and status. Even if they didn't get the title of the legendary pirate, even Shanks would not easily underestimate these dangerous people. Exist. After all, most of the escaped monsters have the terrible devil fruit ability that even the world government dare not kill them easily. And now these monsters who have been abandoned by the times have successfully escaped from prison. Although these people are not moving at the moment, but with the character of these people, they are definitely planning to do some big things to make the world remember them again. The best option right now is to defeat the 4 emperors, or, known as the most powerful demon in the new era. Gu la la la, Bai Ye boy, it seems that the troubles you have to face will not be much less than the old man. Whitebeard had lived for so long, so he naturally knew what Shanks meant, but Whitebeard didn't have any worries, instead his tone was slightly joking. After all, for Bai Ye as a friend, Whitebeard knows exactly what kind of character Bai Ye is. Bai Ye is usually a very low-key kid, but he was evaluated by Whitebeard many years ago as a little kid who does not meet his age. If those old-timers want to be disgraced again, Whitebeard would love to see it. Just as Whitebeard suddenly thought of the sentence Bai Ye said. If someone wants to seek death, do you still want to stop it? ... Thereafter. A week later, seagulls flit across the blue sky. Advertisement. On a ship leaving the new world. Dragon Slayer magic in the sky, proficiency 4%. A young man looked at the data panel and basically confirmed his thoughts. This person is Bai Ye. The power source of Sky Dragon Slayer magic is the sky, the ubiquitous air. But it is precisely because of this that the auxiliary Sky Dragon slaying magic is extremely vulnerable to the influence of the sky. For example, in a place where the sky is clearer and the air is more stable, the owner of the Dragon Slayer magic in the sky will become stronger. On the contrary, the more turbid the sky and air are, the user will be greatly affected, and even unable to use the dragon slaying magic of the sky. Before acquiring the Sky Dragon slaying magic, Bai Ye was already used to the weird weather in New World. But after acquiring the Sky Dragon slaying magic, Bai Ye found that he could feel the changes from the sky. This change will also affect the mastery of Sky Dragon Slayer magic. New World's weird and changeable weather. For example, the Fire Dragon Slayer magic can eat any flame to become its own power. But if the flame turns into hail for a while, heavy snow for a while, and then suddenly the sun clears up in the process of eating it, one can imagine what the taste of the eaten flame is. This is where the influence of New World's weird and changeable weather on the dragon slaying magic in the sky comes from. That's why Bai Ye is dissatisfied with the mastery progress of the Sky Dragon Slayer magic. Bai Ye feels that with his current sensitivity to the sky and the air, this effect should not fade away in a short time, provided he has not at least mastered the premise of handling it freely. Of course, this effect is not all bad. During this week, Bai Ye tried to travel to Calm Belt and other places in New World. Advertisement. Bai Ye found that the Sky Dragon Slayer magic was greatly improved because of his sensitivity to the sky and air. This feeling is like the owner of the Sky Dragon slaying magic has received a gift from the sky and air. And as the mastery of Sky Dragon slaying magic progresses, Bai Ye finds that the power of knowledge color will continue to increase. Even, Bai Ye can distinguish people's character, good and evil, emotions and so on through the flowing air. Bai Ye was sure that he didn't have this kind of special knowledge and knowledge before, and this kind of influence obviously could only come from the dragon slaying magic in the sky. Don't know what will happen if I fully grasp it. Bai Ye looked at the 4% progress, and saw the invisible wind gathering in the palm of his hand, which was a small tornado. This power naturally comes from the sky. In New World, Bai Ye couldn't tame the weird weather. However, compared to the peaceful sky after leaving New World, even if the proficiency of the power from the sky and air is not high, the Sky Dragon slaying magic is enough for Bai Ye to do many things. thinking about if he could reach the proficiency level of Dragon Slayer magic in the sky this time. Bai Ye suddenly looked forward to the chance to meet the Golden Lion, wondering who was stronger and who was weaker between the power of the sky and Shiki, the flying pirate. Suddenly, at this moment, Bai Ye noticed a ship approaching in the distance. The ordinary merchant ship Bai Ye naturally didn't bother to pay attention to it, and the pirates also solved a lot of Bai Ye in this week. Therefore, the reason why Bai Ye can pay attention to this ship is naturally, this ship exudes malice. 045. Ship to the Kingdom of Laborers, CP0. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... This is a ship that can accommodate hundreds of people. Although it cannot be compared with some large warships or pirate ships that accommodate thousands of people. But it is not small for a medium-sized ship. At this time, the ship that was constantly emitting malice into the air was approaching in Bai Ye's direction. Bai Ye found that the whole body of the ship was black, and the sign on the ship turned out to be the sign of World Government, to escort criminals. This is interesting. Since this direction is not impelled down, and it has nothing to do with the surrounding marine base, it can actually wave around under the banner of World Government. Bai Ye frowned slightly, and immediately became interested. The sea area under his feet has just left New World. It can be said that if Bai Ye wants to, he can go to the former naval headquarters within 2 hours to see if he can find acquaintances, plus the World Government. It is located on the Red Line, a sensitive sea location. This ship can run with the World Government logo on it. It would be strange if there is no problem, right? Not to mention, the malice emanating from the ship was already evident. Bai Ye didn't immediately destroy the opponent directly, because the malice in the air was also mixed with emotions such as fear and panic. In other words, there should be many ordinary people on this ship. Although Bai Ye didn't mind destroying the ship, since the ship had approached, it was a good time to see what tricks the other party was playing. After all, it's been a week already, so it's hard to refuse if you have fun. Advertisement. Soon, the ship sailed on the surface of the sea and came into contact with the ship at Bai Ye's feet. Bai Ye can now see that there are many ordinary people kneeling on the deck of this ship. These ordinary people wear shackles that symbolize slavery, and the clothes on these ordinary people are not simple. It is obvious that many of them it is a prince or aristocrat of a certain kingdom, or it is a soldier, etc. From the looks of it, something really happened. You saw it. At this time, on the pitch-black deck of the ship, a man with a red mask looked down at Bai Ye. The man didn't seem to care about Bai Ye at all his attention was on the heavily pronounced, "You saw." Bai Ye touched his chin with his hand, and said calmly, "I saw it, then what?" Hearing this, the man in the red mask said nothing. He looked at the 2 dull attendants behind him, and said lightly, "Bring him up. Since someone has seen it, we can't let it go. It just so happened that Tequila Wolf died again recently. There is a lot of labor, and one more labor force delivered to the door will speed up the progress of the bridge." After finishing speaking, the 2 dull men put down the board and walked towards Bai Ye. Seeing the appearance of the 2 dull attendants, a trace of surprise appeared in Bai Ye's eyes. Manipulating the devil fruit ability of humans is a bit interesting. Bai Ye didn't resist, and let the 2 Muna attendants take him aboard. After standing on the deck of the black ship, Bai Ye looked at the man in the red mask and asked lightly, "Aren't you going to ask who I am first? It's just a labor force. Don't try to play tricks. This ship belongs to the world government. If you dare to resist, you will be an enemy of the world government." The man with the red mask said this, he turned his head to look at the many slaves kneeling on the deck with deep bloodstains on their wrists and ankles, and said coldly, "They are the best examples for you. No matter who you are, as long as you dare to defy the world government, whether you are a king, a nobleman, a soldier, an ordinary person, or a pirate, as long as you get on this ship, you will be in only one. Just slaves who can repair bridges at Tequila Wolf." Advertisement. After the words fell, the masked man seemed to think of something, and added coldly, "By the way, that kingdom also has a name called the Workers' Kingdom, which is specially prepared for these guys. How about it? It's a good name, right? The Kingdom of Laborers, so it is." Hearing this name, Bai Ye's eyes flashed suddenly. Bai Ye didn't have any impression of the place, Tequila Wolf, mentioned by the masked man, but if it was the Kingdom of Laborers, Bai Ye would think of this place. This place is located in East Blue in the original book. It is a country on a bridge. The bridge has been built since 700 years ago, and most of the countries in the country are countries that refuse to join the world government, as well as the people and criminals of these countries. People are forced to hard bridge building, so this place is also known as the Workers' Kingdom. It is a place that symbolizes the end of all sinners who dare to resist the world government. Bai Ye's impression of this place is that Bai Ye remembers that Robin of the Straw Hat crew was accidentally sent here by a bear, and that the revolutionary army led by Long also made his debut in this place. Now that this ship is still transporting slaves to the Kingdom of the Laborers, it seems that the revolutionary army has not yet appeared in the kingdom, or is carrying out some kind of action. Speaking of which, he was really lucky. Didn't expect him to come across something interesting right after he left New World. Seeing that Bai Ye didn't speak, the masked man thought that Bai Ye was frightened, and the masked man's eyes showed a hint of disdain. Sure enough, the sinners in this world are all the same. Since they saw something they shouldn't see, they should go with them honestly so that they don't have to be punished more. Otherwise, he remembered the group of pirates he met before, and now the beasts in the sea would have eaten up their bodies, right? At this time, the mask thought of the group of pirates he killed just now, but Bai Ye looked at the masked man and said calmly, "By the way, since you are not interested in my identity, can I ask you a question?" "What's the problem?" The masked man looked at Bai Ye coldly. Advertisement. A very simple question. As Bai Ye said, a ray of golden flame emerged from his hand. "I want to ask if the people in World Government CP0 are afraid of death." The voice fell. The red masked man saw the golden dancing flames on Bai Ye's hand. The man in the red mask was almost visible to the naked eye, showing fear. Now he seems to suddenly finally understand the meaning of the phrase, "Do you know my identity?" that Bai Ye asked just now. Golden flames. Since the Summit War, who in this world doesn't know that there is only one man with a flame of this color? It's the extremely dangerous demon known as the strongest in the new era of the sea, the devil. How is this possible? You shouldn't be in New World. You're still here. The masked man almost shouted when he discovered Bai Ye's identity. In fact, it is no wonder that he can know a fact from his trembling body. This person definitely knows that Bai Ye is on the world government's extremely dangerous list. Now that you know this, that's enough. 046. Tequila Wolf. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... After a few minutes. New World. The Marine Government headquarters moved to the original G1 branch base here. Not long after a Marine sent in the information, a roar spread across nearly half of the original G1 Marine branch. Bastard. What a joke. Here in Marshal Marine's new office, Akainu's forehead was bulging with veins, and he pointed at the phone bug in his hand and continued to shout. "Are you guys deliberately making trouble for Marine? Can a ship under your nose disappear? And it's not up to our Marine to take care of CP0's affairs, right? Since a ship has lost contact, go find it yourself. I don't have time to pay attention to you CPO bastards right now." After Akainu's voice fell, he slammed the phone bug in his hand aside. It's no wonder that Akainu was so furious. During this period of time, because of the 5 old men who didn't pay attention to him, the new Marine Marshal, the things that Marine had to do recently had piled up. Naval Headquarters Transfer New World Program. The world's largest conscription plan. Impel down the whereabouts of criminals on the 6th floor. Advertisement. There is no confirmation of Blackbeard's life or death at this time. And. The bastard demon he couldn't forget at Summit War. Coupled with the current Summit War Marine personnel replenishment. With all these incidents piled up, the entire naval headquarters will take at least a year or two to recover. As a result, the Summit War is now less than 4 months away, and almost all of Marine's forces are extremely busy with various plans. At this time, people from CP0 suddenly called and asked Marine to send someone to find a ship belonging to the world government. And just because a CPO member suddenly disappeared mysteriously, it is a miracle that Akainu is not furious. The 5 old men in the world government didn't pay attention to him. I didn't expect that a group of spy organizations didn't pay attention to him, the new Marine Marshal. Do you really think that he, the Marshal, can command casually? These bloody bastards. First need Marine to find what I lost under my nose. It's just a bunch of trash. Akainu gritted his teeth, and for a moment, no Marine dared approach in the entire Marshal's office. Afterwards, following Akainu's furious state that lasted less than 10 minutes, Akainu ordered someone in to issue a new order. Immediately send Marine Elite Vice Admiral Flying Squirrels to that sea area to find out what happened. The reason why Akainu can change his face so quickly is very simple. Within 10 minutes after hanging up the CP0 phone bug, the order came this time from the world government. Akainu also now understands why these bastards take this matter so seriously. That ship is an escort ship for criminals against the world government. Although the prisoners on it are not big pirates or powerful guys, many of them are royal families and some soldiers that the world government cannot tame. What's the problem? For example, negative news about the world government will also have a great impact on the world government, especially in the sensitive period after the Summit War. In addition, there is another worst result, that is, if these people secretly collude with the group of troublesome guys who are trying to overthrow the world government. Once this happens, it will not only be about the issue of face advertisement. Therefore, the order from the world government is simple. Find that ship, and wipe it out if necessary. At the same time, on a ship heading to the kingdom of the laborers. At this time, there were no more slaves on board, only Bai Ye and a charred corpse remained. For those ordinary people, Bai Ye is not someone who kills casually, so he simply finds these people on a nearby island and puts them down. As for the future fate of these people, Bai Ye naturally didn't bother to pay attention. At this time, Bai Ye is on this new ship, and is headed to Tequila Wolf, the kingdom of workers. Now that they have hit each other, Bai Ye is still a little interested in the kingdom of laborers. Although the mysterious force of the Revolutionary Army has not yet appeared and may be active in secret, there is a high probability that Bai Ye will meet Nico Robin here. Speaking up. In fact, Nico Robin can be regarded as Bai Ye met once. It's just that Nico Robin joined the Straw Hats. No, it should be before he joined the Bar Lock studio. At that time, about 7 years ago, Nico Robin entered the Grand Line from West Blue. At that time, the Whitebeard Pirates went out to a Grand Line island to resupply, and they encountered a group of hapless pirates from West Blue. Advertisement. The two groups met together, and the result is naturally needless to say, facing the 4 Emperor's pirates, even the captain-level crew under Whitebeard is definitely not comparable to a group of rookies. So that group of rookie pirates was wiped out directly. Bai Ye went to the opposing pirate ship to clean up the loot, and happened to meet Nico Robin, who was hiding on the ship. According to the original timeline, Robin probably left West Blue and came to Grand Line at that time. It's just because the gang of pirates who don't know the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth are too unlucky, they were directly wiped out by the group. It was at that time that Bai Ye finally met Nico Robin. Of course, thinking about it, it has been 7 years, so it is estimated that the memory of the other party will not be so good. In addition, Bai Ye's real purpose is to see what the so-called 700-year-old bridge looks like. In 700 years, even if it is used to build naval headquarters, it is estimated that I don't know how many can be built, but it is all spent on one bridge. It is conceivable that this bridge has reached a terrifying scale. Thereafter, the sailing time of the boat is less than half a day. Bai Ye discovered the destination. As far as the eye can see, this is a huge bridge that almost towers like the clouds. Bai Ye estimated visually that even if the Moby Dick at Whitebeard's feet was compared to this bridge, it would probably become a small pirate ship in an instant, or even the size of a single-person boat. It is conceivable how terrifying and huge the scale of this bridge is. And, Tequila Wolf, the kingdom of the workers, is located on top of the world's largest bridge. 047. The Flying Squirrel's Guess. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. ... My lord, please come with me. The ship approached at the foot. This is a bridge kingdom port similar to the Impel Down elevator. There are soldiers guarding it. People can go to the kingdom of workers through the elevator. This method is also to prevent slaves from escaping. Seeing the world government sign, the two soldiers quickly lowered their heads, not even daring to look at Bai Ye. As for the charred unknown corpse on the boat, no one cared about it at all, presumably some unknown guy offended this lord. After all, this isn't the first time slaves have died. Bai Ye saw that since he didn't need to do it himself, he simply let the two men with guns on their backs lead him to the kingdom above the huge bridge. In this process, Bai Ye understood this matter. This is probably East Blue, perhaps one of the most tightly blocked places in the world. Since most of the labor slaves here were people who resisted or disobeyed the orders of the world government, the contact with the outside world was almost completely cut off. It is not allowed to contact the outside world here, and the outside world is not a member of the world government, and it is absolutely not allowed to send out news from here. Advertisement. Therefore, this caused Bai Ye to become a member of the CP0, that he solved smoothly. In this regard, it's not that Bai Ye wants to pretend to be a person of world government. It can only be blamed that these people are too proactive. Thereafter, along the way, Bai Ye can see countless laborers from all over the world who are still building this giant bridge that towers into the clouds. In the center of the bridge is the body of Tequila Wolf, the kingdom of the laborers, a huge snow town patrolled by soldiers. This is because the bridge is built too high and the air becomes extremely cold. So it was no wonder that it was summer when they came up, but the two soldiers who led Bai Ye up were wearing thick winter clothes. When Bai Ye looked at this kingdom of workers, although the two soldiers did not dare to look at Bai Ye, the thin clothes on Bai Ye's body did not respond to the cold air above, which made the two men more convinced that Bai Ye was a adult status. Only strong people from the world government can stay in such a place with such a huge temperature contrast without being affected at all, right? My lord, we can only take you here at most, and you can give orders if you need anything. The two soldiers walked all the way from the elevator to the interior of the worker kingdom, and finally, the two stopped before they came to the cold town. It can be seen that this is where the two soldiers can lead the way. Immediately, Bai Ye looked up at the town in front of him. As far as he could see, there was a tall castle at the end of the town. The reason why Bai Ye attracted Bai Ye's attention was simple. It was a castle, rather than a castle-style fortress. Advertisement. This castle and fortress are integrated and located at the core of the laborers' kingdom. Even if there is a large-scale rebellion here, with this castle fortress, it is estimated that the entire laborer kingdom can be cleaned up in a short time. It is no wonder that the construction of the bridge here cost 700. There was basically no news from the outside world. In this way, with this castle fortress, even revolutionaries would not be able to choose to attack by force. No wonder they would send people to sneak in. However, for Bai Ye, it was enough. Thereafter. At the same time, previously located in the waters where Bai Ye left the New World, Marine Elite Vice Admiral and the Flying Squirrel took a large warship. After a thorough search in this sea area, the Flying Squirrel finally found the pirate ship that Bai Ye was on. Of course, although the reason for the disappearance of the world government's ship may have been found, the face of the flying squirrel became serious. Since the special mission was issued by the world government this time, the flying squirrel naturally knew what the real purpose of this mission was from Akainu. This is to cover up any possible negative traces of confidential tasks that may affect the world government. But now that the reason for the disappearance has been found, it is very likely that CPO above has been killed. In addition, the flying squirrel guessed the worst possible outcome. If the sudden disappearance of this ship is really related to Mr. Revolution. Advertisement. Could it be, the Revolutionary Army will follow this ship to the Kingdom of the Laborers? If this is the case, flying squirrels are almost visible to the naked eye with ugly faces. If his guess is true, it is absolutely impossible for something worse than this to happen in the world. After all, the flying squirrel over there has also heard a little bit that almost all the people imprisoned there are those who resisted or disobeyed the order of the world government, the royal family and the people of these kingdoms. If something happens over there. In addition, the news of the Kingdom of Laborers is almost completely blocked from the outside world. Even if there is any internal problem, it is impossible for the Marine and world government to know immediately. So, after the judgment, the flying squirrel submitted a report to Akainu with a solemn face, all possible influences beyond the situation. For this mission, it is very likely that the scope of the serious situation has extended beyond just Vice Admiral. If necessary, Flying Squirrel requests Admiral to take over this task. 048. Nico Robin. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Tequila Wolf, the Kingdom of Workers. A slave building is here. Tequila Wolf has almost cut off all slaves from contacting the outside world, so it is almost impossible to receive any news here unless they receive a special order from the world government. Therefore, Bai Ye has almost no obstacles in Tequila Wolf right now, and it is rare to experience a low-key time compared to the outside world. Otherwise, if someone here recognizes him, Bai Ye has no doubt that this place will soon become a battlefield. He learned from CP0 that the world government now believes that he was injured in the battle with Garp. If Bai Ye is found outside of New World at this time, it is estimated that the world government and the marine government will definitely not let go of this good opportunity, even if they choose Buster Call. There should be a great possibility. After all, who let him now have the title of the strongest demon? In the new era, among the several titles on his head, Buster Call seems to have no problem dealing with demons. Of course, even if they were discovered, Bai Ye didn't care. With his current strength, few people in this world can threaten him, just as Bai Ye and Whitebeard once discussed. When the strong in this world reach a certain level, their physical fitness has reached a terrifying level. If the difference in strength is not too big, a battle can last for 10 days and a half months, or even longer. If you didn't meet a guy who was really desperate, it would be extremely difficult to kill such a guy. So even if the world government still has some trump cards, Bai Ye is only afraid at the moment. If he really wants to leave, after Bai Ye fought against the Red Hair, he predicts that even if he takes a walk around the new naval headquarters now, those Marines will find it difficult to do anything to Bai Ye. You have to ask why. Naturally he is stronger, that's all. He's not a single-minded guy like Golden Lion. And someone wanted to die, Bai Ye said the same thing, he would not stop him. Advertisement. Bai Ye basically never worries about troubles like this. After all, he's usually the solution to the troublemaker itself. Building the prison here. Along the way, even if Bai Ye didn't look at the situation here, he still knew why the Revolutionary Army would focus on this kind of place. In the 700 years since the establishment of this place, countless forces have been invested in resisting or disobeying the world government. If the Revolutionary Army can take this place, the influence it will bring in the entire world will definitely be smaller than that of the Revolutionary Army. The kingdom works. Bai Ye guessed right, the impact on the future of the Revolutionary Army here is definitely one of the major plans. Certainly. Regarding the forces of the Revolutionary Army, Bai Ye's attitude can only be described as neither good nor bad. The Revolutionary Army is not bad for ideals as a mysterious force in this world. But from the perspective of Bai Ye, who is also a traveler after 13 years of travel, Bai Ye has already seen various world government methods. What's more, the world government can stand for 800 years, relying solely on the power of the Revolutionary Army in the hands of the dragon. Bai Ye does not think that the dragon has the power to overthrow the world government. Otherwise, if the strength of the Revolutionary Army is really that strong, there is no need for various plans and only dare to fuel the flames secretly. Therefore, Bai Ye can only say that he has a partial affection for the Revolutionary Army, but it is limited to the degree of no hostility. Bai Ye believes only in strength, as long as his strength reaches a moment when no matter what force needs to be shaken, no matter what the problem is. As long as it can be solved with strength, it is not a problem in Bai Ye's view. Others may not be able to, but don't forget that he is a time traveler and has a dragon-slaying power system that this world does not have. Bai Ye fully believes that he can reach that height. The only problem is time. Advertisement. Quote. Hide away, they're coming. At this time, a female voice suddenly sounded, pulling Bai Ye to hide behind a wall. Immediately, Less than a few seconds passed. These are two guarding slave soldiers shouting and running, while looking around for figures. Seeing that there was no one here, the two soldiers cursed and could only go to the place. Obviously, the person they were looking for was naturally the person next to Bai Ye at this time. But to be more precise, it should be Nico Robin. At this time Nico Robin was wearing shackles, a blue prison uniform on his body, and an obviously stolen key. Seeing the current situation of the slave shackles, Bai Ye probably understood what was going on. If I'm not mistaken, now is the time when Robin stole the key and was about to escape, but he just bumped into me. I didn't wear these guard clothes, so I probably thought I was arrested too, right? Bai Ye thought in his heart. But if Bai Ye's guess is right. Bai Ye immediately realized another thing. If Robin escapes this stage by stealing the key. In other words, the Revolutionary Army is likely to have infiltrated Tequila Wolf. It seems that there will be turmoil here soon. It just so happens that this situation is like being sleepy and someone gives you a pillow, so you don't have to do it. Advertisement. Why, you seem to have seen me. After thinking about it for less than a second, Bai Ye showed a slight smile and looked at Robin, who hadn't seen him for 7 years. 7 years ago, Robin just joined the Grand Line from West Blue. At that stage, Robin was far from joining the Lock Studio. He was still living with pirates and betrayals all day long. He was obviously not allowed in by strangers and worried about being bullied by his peers. The breath of betrayal. Now 7 years have passed since Bai Ye saw Robin again. Although it has been a long time, the aura exuding from his body is obviously very different from before. This is an indescribable change in temperament, and he will begin to believe others and companions. Hearing this, Robin stared at Bai Ye with her blue eyes. She seemed to be thinking about it seriously, and said with a smile, I remember seeing you at the Grand Line, sir. If I'm not wrong, it should be 7 years ago. You let me go at that time. I still remember the situation at that time. Maybe 7 years have passed. Sir, you don't remember the pirate you let go. Robin spoke in a half-joking tone, revealing a hint of exclamation. 7 years ago, she decided to go from West Blue to Grand Line through a gang of pirates. She didn't expect that the gang of pirates kicked directly onto the Iron Plate as soon as they arrived at the Grand Line. At that time, she already thought that leaving West Blue was a wrong decision. She didn't expect that Bai Ye didn't kill her, but let her go. That's why she has a very deep memory of that year. And, as she learned more and more about the new world later on, it was only then that Robin realized how lucky he was at the beginning. When the pirates first entered the Grand Line, they met members of the Whitebeard Pirates. It was one of the 4 emperors who stood at the top of the new world and were known as the Emperor of the Sea. It is conceivable that it is a miracle that she survived. Since then, Robin has remembered the person who changed her destiny, although only on one side. It's just that she didn't expect that when she saw this man again after 7 years, she would be in this kind of place. 049. Invaders of the Workers' Kingdom. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Well, I didn't expect you to remember things from 7 years ago so clearly, Nico Robin. When Bai Ye heard this greeting, he didn't expect that Robin would still remember the first meeting. The blue eyes looked at Bai Ye, and a hint of surprise appeared in Robin's eyes. She remembered meeting Bai Ye 7 years ago, who was from the Whitebeard Pirates. And before Sabayadi Archipelago encountered Shichibukai Bear, she had already learned from the news that Marine was going to fight the Whitebeard Pirates. If Bai Ye appears here, could it be? Robin is very smart. From seeing Bai Ye here, she immediately realized many things. After all, in the past 7 years, she has investigated Bai Ye in the Lock Studio. Almost everything is a mystery except knowing the existence of Bai Ye, but what is certain is that Bai Ye will appear here, the Marine and Whitebeard Pirates. The war may well be over. In other words, Luffy's big brother is likely to have. Robin's blue eyes sank slightly, and asked, Sir, can I ask one thing? Marine and... The voice is not finished yet. At this time, the 2 guards came back again, and Robin's nerves tensed up slightly. After arriving here, she discovered that this is a place where communication is almost completely cut off from the outside world. From the fact that the guards here didn't find her real identity in the outside world at the first time, Robin could tell. Therefore, this is an opportunity. She must leave here before her identity is discovered. Otherwise, this place is controlled by the world government. Once her identity is discovered, the consequences will be self-evident. Robin waited for more than 10 seconds, and he was relieved when he heard the voices of the 2 guards. Advertisement. The blue eyes looked at Bai Ye again, and asked, Can you tell me the latest news from the outside world? What do you want to know? I want to ask. By the way, can I ask what your name is? Robin changed his words suddenly. Bai Ye. Bai Ye laughed. Bai Ye. Sounds like a strange name. Robin murmured, and then continued to ask, If Mr. Bai Ye appears here, can the outside world tell me the result of the war between the Marine and Whitebeard Pirates? After the words fell, Robin's tone was worried. Seeing this, Bai Ye probably knew that Robin didn't know about the Summit War yet. Bear's meatball fruit ability flew Straw Hat Crew for a long time due to different distances, and the longest even lasted for several months. In addition, Robin is the only one among all the Straw Hat crew who arrives at this kind of news and is completely isolated from the outside world. It is normal not to know the news of Summit War. It can be said that not only Robin, but almost all the slaves working here are completely isolated from all news from the outside world, even most of the guards. Seeing Bai Ye thinking about it, Robin already had a bad feeling. The war between Marine and the Whitebeard Pirates is over, Bai Ye said. Sure enough. Robin's heart tightened. Bai Ye continued. However, if I told you that the person who won this war was not Marine, would you believe me? After the words fell, Robin's blue eyes were slightly taken aback by the naked eye, and then she realized, then Mr. Bai Ye. Bai Ye rubbed his chin and thought about it. I'm leaving New World now, and my purpose of coming to Grand Line is probably the same as yours. I plan to travel, but I didn't expect to encounter a ship coming here just after I left New World, just drop by and have a look. Travel. When Robin heard this answer, she was taken aback for a moment, and then she couldn't help but be a little dumbfounded. Advertisement. Even if it is a trip, there is no need to go to such a place. Immediately, her blue eyes looked at Bai Ye, and she suddenly realized that what Bai Ye said might be true. Bai Ye doesn't have the slave shackles that limit Devil Fruit's ability. And, even if Bai Ye is not a capable person, it is absolutely impossible for him to enter and exit such a place at will. There are only two such answers. One is impossible. Bai Ye is a member of the world government, so he can enter and exit here without hindrance. Another way, obviously it can only be that what Bai Ye said is true. The battle between Marine and the Whitebeard Pirates is over. In this way, at this time, suddenly, an alarm sounded suddenly. The sound propagates almost throughout the town located in the snowstorm. The guards of the entire laborers' kingdom almost turned pale when they heard the alarm. This alarm means there is an intruder. All of a sudden, all the guards in the entire laborers' kingdom began to mobilize. As a place where the world government detains rebel criminals, there is almost never a problem, but if there is an intruder, it is definitely a big event that cannot be ignored. This movement, could it be advertisement? Robin's face changed slightly when he heard the alarm, and he subconsciously looked at Bai Ye. Bai Ye shook his head. The alarm this time has nothing to do with me. I think this place will soon become a new battlefield. You should have heard of the intruder the alarm refers to outside. From the feedback from the sky and the air, Bai Ye has already seen the situation outside. This so-called invader force, it is the Revolutionary Army. Unexpectedly, he just came here this time to catch up with a good show. As for why there was no clearing bombardment outside. Obviously, when Bai Ye arrived here, people from the Revolutionary Army had already infiltrated. If there were no accidents, according to Robin's original experience, Robin would be rescued by the Revolutionary Army at this time, and then go to the headquarters of the Revolutionary Army. But, if the Revolutionary Army has already started, probably there shouldn't be too many surprises outside. If the Revolutionary Army is not sure, it will definitely not choose to do it. Similarly, once it is done, it means that the Revolutionary Army has absolute certainty. But for Bai Ye, I didn't expect that not long after I had a fight with Hongfa, this kind of thing happened to the Revolutionary Army again. But if you don't have to use your hands, Bai Ye thinks the experience is not bad. For enemies that are too weak, he really doesn't have much interest recently, especially after fighting Garp, the redhead, who stands at the top of the world. 050. Arrival of Kizaru. Previous chapter. Next chapter. Advertisement. Tequila Wolf. Above. This is. Mr. Bai Ye is referring to the Revolutionary Army. At this time, taking advantage of the chaos, Bai Ye brought Robin to the Bridge Kingdom. From this position, you can clearly see the chaos below. On one side are people who hold guns and fight against the guards of the laborers' kingdom, and on the other side there are slaves who have begun to resist here. Being able to do this kind of thing, with Robin's cleverness, she naturally immediately realized the source of this so-called intruder. Look at the whole world. The only one who can do this kind of thing is the mysterious force located on the sea and trying to overthrow the world government, the Revolutionary Army. Guess right. You don't seem surprised at all. Seeing that Bai Ye didn't look surprised at all, Robin couldn't help asking. His blue eyes flashed with thought. She knew that the man in front of her was from the Whitebeard Pirates, and she was not at all surprised by the Revolutionary Army. Bai Ye naturally knew what Robin was thinking, so he explained with a smile. I have nothing to do with them. This is because people from the Revolutionary Army have probably infiltrated before I came here, and compared to Summit War, the battlefield just doesn't interest me. After finishing speaking, Bai Ye added, and with the style of the Revolutionary Army, if they are not sure, they will not choose to do it, right? Robin bowed her head in thought and nodded when she heard this, which meant she agreed with Bai Ye's statement. If the Revolutionary Army is not absolutely sure, it should indeed be impossible to attack a place under the control of the world government. Since you choose to do it at this time, you are absolutely sure. Moreover, it is obvious that the Revolutionary Army has gained the upper hand in the following situation. Even if this continues, this place should be liberated by the Revolutionary Army sooner or later. Thinking of this, Robin's blue eyes couldn't help but take a deep look at the man next to him. Although she only met once 7 years ago, after a short contact now, she found that this man was completely different from the results of her investigation in the Barlock studio. At least, in Robin's view, such a person, even in the Whitebeard Pirates, is absolutely impossible to be anonymous, just an ordinary member. Advertisement. Especially at this time, the calmness on the other side's face made Robin more convinced of this matter. There should be something about the other party that she doesn't understand, at least, this is something she definitely doesn't know. At this time, while Robin was thinking, her blue pupils suddenly changed. This is, as far as the eye can see, I can only see the bottom. This is when the guards of the Labor Kingdom couldn't resist, and they chose to activate the secret weapon they obtained from Marine not long ago. This weapon, the pacifist developed by the Marine Science Corps. Robin saw the pacifist, and a look of fear appeared in his blue eyes. On the Sabayati archipelago, she has seen this weapon that can put the entire pirate group in a desperate situation. This marine weapon can be said to have left an indelible impression on her. I didn't expect such a monster to appear in such a place. There was a hint of fear in Robin's eyes. Bai Ye touched his chin instead. This thing, in Bai Ye's opinion, it's not strong, it's even pitifully weak. And the pacifists here are obviously more unfinished scraps than some at war. At this point, when Bai Ye sees a pacifist suddenly attacking the building, he can basically be sure that the pacifists here are most likely to be defective models before the Summit War group of pacifists. But, even if it was a defective product, Bai Ye could see that because of the appearance of pacifists, the progress of the Revolutionary Army suddenly began to be greatly reduced at a speed visible to the naked eye. Obviously, pacifists are really nothing in Bai Ye's eyes, but they still pose a great threat to ordinary people. At least, because of the appearance of pacifists, if the Revolutionary Army could have ended the riots here before dark, there is a high probability that the battle will be delayed until the day after tomorrow at least. At that time, if the world government or the marine government are successfully contacted here, they will soon be in trouble. Down below, the Revolutionary Army clearly knew this, so they forcibly prepared to break through the pacifists. However, the result was not ideal. In the face of the lasers spat out by the pacifists, the Revolutionary Army forced a breakthrough but began to suffer casualties, which meant that they really had nothing to do with these iron monsters in a short time. Forget it, I'll just help them out. Seeing a few pacifists, Bai Ye blocked the progress of the battlefield below and rubbed his forehead. Originally, he didn't think it would be a problem if he didn't make a move, but considering the time issue, he decided to help the other party. Advertisement. Bai Ye's attitude towards the Revolutionary Army has always been neither good nor bad. If you encounter such a trivial matter, Bai Ye still doesn't mind helping out. A few pacifists, to Bai Ye, are basically the same as cleaning up a few pirates by the way. And, Bai Ye originally wanted to use the Thunder Dragon Slayer magic, but seeing the snowstorm falling in the sky here, Bai Ye suddenly had a new idea. The next moment, it was the power from the sky converging towards Bai Ye's palm. Then, Bai Ye aimed his palm at the pacifist below, and then, a giant tornado mixed with wind and snow suddenly appeared. I saw that the pacifists were instantly involved in this snow tornado that swept tens of meters high. Facing the mixed wind and snow inside the tornado that seemed to turn into sharp knives, the pacifists were caught almost instantly. Cut to smash. Seeing this scene, Bai Ye made up his mind. The power of sky dragon slaying magic itself comes from the sky. This magic can completely use the environment to exert its own characteristics. For example, using the power of the wind to blend into the snow, the tornado, which already has cutting power, will increase its cutting power several times due to the presence of snow. In contrast, other environments should have more or less the same effect. Although it has not been tested yet, at least the feasibility of this matter has been confirmed for now. In this way, Bai Ye seems to have found out how to quickly master the magic of dragon slaying in the sky. New World's influence on the magic of Dragon Slayer in the sky comes from the weird and changeable weather, but if he can adapt to each weather change in advance, what will happen? At that time, Bai Ye predicts that even if it does not reach 100 mastery, at least it should be no problem to reach the level of proficiency. Bai Ye's thoughts changed. Robin was on the side, but his blue pupils showed shock. What did she just see? The kind of pacifist who was enough to drive the pirates into a desperate situation is like a toy in the hands of this person. Seeing this scene, Robin immediately realized that this also meant that the other party could never be as simple as an ordinary member. Robin thought here, she was just about to ask. At this moment, the members of the Revolutionary Army below thought that God had helped them, and as a result, a golden laser light appeared on the battlefield. The golden laser light is not as grand as the pacifists, but when the light flashes, boom! Huge casualties appeared in the Revolutionary Army forces below in an instant. Advertisement. And, this is the scene where members of the Revolutionary Army collectively changed face when they saw the person coming. See, Marine Admiral. How is this possible? How did Marine Admiral appear here? Damn it! What the hell is going on here? It's Marine Admiral. Marine Admiral. Seeing the people coming, the members of the Revolutionary Army could no longer calm down collectively. Based on the information obtained by infiltrating here, the information here is almost completely isolated from the outside world, which means that they have at least one day to complete the capture of this place. However, the arrival of Marine Admiral completely disrupted all original plans. At this time, in front of the town of the Laborer's Kingdom, Kizaru in the beige suit glanced at this place, rubbed his forehead, spread his hands and said in his usual humble tone. Hey, it's really scary. Originally, the old man didn't think it was necessary for Marine to send Admiral for this trip. But now it seems, the old man seems to have come to the right place. You actually killed a CPO member and came here. As Kizaru said, he looked at the Revolutionary Army forces who were facing a formidable enemy, and unhurriedly took out a phone bug to inform Naval Headquarters that he was in position. And, the situation here, really deserves Admiral's visit. After all, if this place is really successfully captured by the Revolutionary Army, even if Kizaru guesses, there is a high probability that he will know what will happen to the world government. Therefore, the handling of things here has become very important. Also good, Kizaru remembered the Brain T celestial dragons he encountered in the Summit War before, and it seems good to be active now. With this thought in mind, Kizaru folded his arms, and golden light began to flicker in his hands. The next moment, Kizaru leapt into the air as light particles, and slowly read out the name of this move. Bachi. Chong Guyu.